you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Well, okay, we are...
Canadian, you're always good for hockey.
Yeah. And the only Canadian team won last night, so...
Hey.
Yes, they did, in overtime, right?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good game.
Well, with that, we're rolling, so let's talk some hockey.
Well,
Canada's only hope is 1-0.
Yeah, Canada's only hope's 1-0.
Ohio's only hope is 0-1.
Greg suffered a crushing defeat.
Yeah.
Crushing. And the Ducks looked amazing until they decided to stop playing and the referees started giving them bullshit penalties. And then Ryan Getzlaf took a puck to the face with 13 seconds left.
Oh,
but
no.
hey! No, they actually – the picture that – he actually just released a picture of his stitches and stuff. And he looks great. He looks like he's ready for game 2. Right there. He looks ready and raring to go for game 2.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a hockey player, folks, right there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like they sewed his chin back on.
It's a nice gash.
That's some Frankenstein, crap right there. So that's what that is.
Yep.
If that happened to me, I'd still be laying in bed crying right now. Like I wouldn't go out and play again.
Yeah.
But hey,
he's a hockey player, man.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, it was. Go ahead.
Thrilling start to the playoffs. It's the even an ESPN poll said so that the NHL playoffs are the best playoffs.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like ESPN, they trash hockey now and then, but the fact of the matter is they want it. It's obvious. They offered them a pretty substantial contract the last time the TV rights were renewed. So every time ESPN says, "Oh, we don't want hockey; it's too provincial," no bullshit. You're just talking down to it because you don't have it.
Well, you want to say. I mean, if they're going to talk provincial, what about baseball? Mm-hmm. Baseball is maybe not quite as regional as hockey is, but it's damn close. Let's be honest about it. National, you care about your team, and you're not, no one's going to tune into, I mean, some people will, but for the most part, people don't care to watch Dodgers-Giants if they're not Dodgers or Giants fans.
And I mean, who goes out of their way to see, like, Diamondbacks-Royals?
Not many people.
Maybe Greg, because...
I do, but yeah. That's because I pay a lot of money for the extra innings package every year, but yeah.
So, damn it, you're going to get your money out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, I'm a little biased because I think hockey's the best sport, but I watch every hockey playoff game that I can, time willing.
Yep.
Whereas, like, when the baseball playoffs come on, I can't sit there and watch all 4 games on a day.
No, it takes too long. You're talking 12, 13 hours of your time if you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a 3-game day in baseball is at least 10 hours if you're going to dedicate yourself. Plus, you can't. God, I'm the biggest baseball fan in the world. I can't sit and watch from first pitch to the last out an entire game without flipping through channels and stuff. You just can't do it. With hockey, it's I think I posted
just in the 20 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
I flipped around and I missed 2 goals.
Yeah, I think I posted this on Facebook the other day that I will walk out of the room and a goal will be scored. It happens to me all the time, but the hockey playoffs, it's just they're the best, especially. And when you get into say, obviously a game 7, but like a decisive game, it's just amazing because it's everything is just so amplified because the next play could end it. You don't have that in baseball. You do to a lesser extent in football, but in hockey, everything can be going great. And believe me, I saw this happen last night. You can be up 3-1, and the next thing you know, you're losing, and it doesn't take long.
So now you know how I felt last year, Greg.
Well,
I don't think it was anything close.
Yet.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything close to what you went through last year. I can't imagine what that must have been like.
It wasn't a 4-1 lead with 10 minutes to go in Game 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
That was.
Or the Bruins last year was it in Game 6 of the finals last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bruins had a spectacular collapse too, and I have to admit that was a bit vindicating to see. That, yes, you live with it now.
Welcome to my hell.
Exactly. And I think I think the Toronto Sun even published like a letter that said "Thank you, Chicago." So
yeah, they did something to that. I think we even talked about it on the show, if I remember right.
Yeah, but So you two actually were talking about pulling for the Blues actually in their series against the Blackhawks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, because I've seen the Blackhawks. You know? I know what the Blackhawks are. I know they're very good. Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane, yada yada. Very good. Good for you, Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see some new blood, at least in the later rounds of the playoffs. Like,
Same here.
Good. The Blackhawks got in. Fine, they can defend their title. Great. But I'd rather see the Blues have at least a shot. It would suck for a team like the Blues that looked all year like it was one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the league to all of a sudden just go away in the first round because the same old Chicago Blackhawks decided to.
Well, to be fair, they did stumble a bit near the end.
They did, and they ended up losing the division lead and all that. But they're still. St. Louis, the Blues at least. The St. Louis itself isn't necessarily a tortured sports city because
No.
But it's something that they bring up. Some of the St. Louis fans bring up on the board. It's almost like somebody had to sell their souls to the devil for the Cardinals, and the price was the Blues.
Right.
I think Rams 80 said it best. There's some shaman in eastern Missouri who's like continually sacrificing the success of the Rams and the Blues for the Cardinals.
Well, to be fair, too, you can't – not necessarily every Blues fan is a Cardinals fan, so you can't hold Cardinals hate against the Blues.
And
it's a different atmosphere around the Blues than it is the Cardinals.
Yeah, no one's going best fans in hockey. That's reserved for San Jose.
No, they're kind of like the 80s Cleveland Browns of hockey. They get close, but they just can't seem to close the deal.
Yeah.
The best fans of hockey that have no championships in their rafters, but hey! Whatever.
But I guess I'm just coming at this from an interesting perspective, given our collective interest in uniforms. I think if the Blues were wearing their pre-Edge uniforms, I'd be on board with them doing well. But because they wear that crappy Edge 1.0 look that they've got, because they're a team like I'm naturally neutral about. I don't hate them. I don't particularly care for them. They're the Blues, and a lot of how I feel about neutral teams does come down to their uniforms. And the Blues right now, they're stupid uniforms. I just don't care.
Well, that's
I agree. You look at it on paper, you think Blues and Blackhawks, the red jerseys of the Blackhawks, those beautiful red jerseys, going up against a mostly blue team. It should be a good-looking series. And then you see it put into focus, and you're like, oh, that's right. The Blues are still wearing those things, huh?
Well, that's the problem with the Blues. They have the potential to have a really great look. They've got a cool logo. I love the alternate logo. I mean, I know I love me some roundels, but they could be great.
Have you seen their do you remember their pre-Edge look before they switched to the Reebok Edge sweaters, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great look.
Yeah, but I'm with Zach as far as it's not. I mean, I like the Blackhawks. I was rooting for them last year, but I'm with him. I'd just rather see somebody else at this point. So it's not a matter of like I don't like the Blackhawks and I want the Blues to win. It's just a matter of the Blackhawks won last year. Let's give somebody else a shot.
Right. Like if
also, I'm not too high on Ryan Miller because he has looked nuts. Like when the Blues got him. Everything I heard was like, oh, the Blues, the final piece of the puzzle, as if Yaroslav Halak was some schlub. But, they get Ryan Miller, and he hasn't exactly played out of his mind.
Well, he was pretty solid for a while when he
went
traded.
like 6-0-1.
Yeah.
In in his first few games there. Mm-hmm. But over the last week and a half, he's just not looked great at all.
Well, and this is not
Neither
the time.
have the rest of the Blues, so I don't know.
Yeah, this is not the time you want your goalie to go cold either.
Nope, and that's why the Ducks are starting a rookie instead of Jonas Hiller. But
they did.
Hey, but I mean,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, Hiller has been bad with capital BAD.
Was he in net for that 4-goal game against Winnipeg?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was in net for that one, and then, of course, the Ducks stormed back to win. So it was fine. And then they played Edmonton, and we were down 3-0, but hey, we stormed back to win, so it's fine. And then he gives up 4 goals on 9 shots against Nashville and says, you know what, okay, pulling the plug.
Yeah.
Nashville, who doesn't score goals until the shootout. I mean, that's just even worse.
And then John Gibson, the young 20-year-old stud, came in, won his NHL debut in a shutout. Then he puts John Gibson back in for the division championship game against the Sharks, and he wins that one. Mm-hmm. And then Anderson and Gibson split the 2 games on the weekend, and Hiller wasn't even dressed over the weekend. And now, come game 1, Frederik Andersen's in net. So
I mean, yeah, it's great that you guys can come back from a 4-0 deficit, but it's still problematic when you're giving up 4 goals to goddamn Winnipeg.
Well, that's the thing. And that's what I was complaining about at the time. It's okay, great, we won. But if we go down 4-0 to Dallas or Chicago or LA or San Jose,
you're not coming back from that.
We're not winning that one.
More than likely not. Yeah.
No. But hey, they got up to their own 4-0 lead yesterday. They looked fantastic, and they let it slip away a little bit. But I'm not too concerned. I think watching that game, I was more than convinced that Dallas just doesn't have the depth. Now they were able to come back because the 2 guys on the team that score, Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, hey, guess what? They scored. And
Jamie Benn, Canadian Olympian and gold medalist.
The guy who scored the goal against the United States, I know him well.
Yes.
And what kind of sick parents do the Benns have? Because Jamie is the forward on the Dallas Stars, and his brother, Jordy, is on the blue line.
Are they like the what was it, the old suitors? How many were those guys were there anyway?
Suitors? God.
Like 13 or something?
Sutters?
Was it Suter or Sutter? I thought it was Suter.
It's Sutter.
It's Sutter.
Yeah,
Is
Daryl Sutter, Brendan Sutter.
Yep. Daryl Sutter, Maple.
Oh, I'm thinking of the pitcher, Bruce Sutter. Never mind. I got him mixed up. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, or Ryan Suter, the defenseman for the Minnesota Wild. But, no, there's 7. There's 7 brothers, and then they actually have a couple of the kids that played in the league. There's a guy that plays for Pittsburgh right now, Brandon Sutter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So now let's talk about the stalls. and how Carolina has just decided to collect them like Pokemon trading cards.
No, Carolina, I refuse to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes.
But don't you know their owner has gone on record saying that people don't realize that his team's quite good.
That was the funniest interview I'd read in a long time.
We didn't make the playoffs or anything, but we really are pretty good. You just don't realize it.
That's exactly it. Like, well, why aren't people coming out to watch the team? Hey, people just don't realize how good we are.
Okay.
Oh, well, then I guess
you don't seem to realize it either.
The best part was in the article, he's like, well, little beknownst to Mr. Carmonos, the NHL actually keeps an annual tabulation of wins and losses.
That would indicate otherwise.
Right. So
just a lot of bad breaks, that's all.
Yeah, no. God. But if they're finally firing the general manager is, quote-unquote, stepping down.
So someone had a talk, essentially, and it was...
And in the recent trend of, hey, old players must know things, right? They're probably going to hire Ron Francis as their general manager.
Of course.
Based on what?
Brendan Moore. It was either going to be Francis or Brendan Moore. Honestly.
Well, I think Francis was an assistant general manager over the last 4 years or something to try and learn the ropes.
And look how well that's gone.
Hey, he was a good player though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
he was a good player. Wayne Gretzky was the best player of all time. He was a pretty awful coach.
Pretty awful.
And thanks to the bankruptcy proceedings in Phoenix, kind of a terrible owner too.
Well, that's not really his fault.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, it is. You can only do so much with Phoenix, but I don't know. It's kind of coming back to the Leafs. Obviously, signed Brendan Shanahan and as president of hockey operations.
Trevor Linden.
And the Canucks get Trevor Linden. And I'm not denying that Brendan Shanahan and Trevor Linden weren't fantastic hockey players. They were fantastic hockey players, but I still don't understand how that qualifies one to excel on the managerial side of things. And goddamn it, Michael Jordan is probably the greatest basketball player who will ever live. And Well, just look at the Hornet Cats or the Bob Hornets or whatever they're calling themselves these days.
And the thing too, like at least Shanahan has been in the league, like in a managerial position with the player safety division. But Trevor Linden, when he was hired, somebody asked him something, and he said something to the effect of, I haven't been in the league for a while, so the guys that are here are going to have to teach me up on the league today.
Oh, good. That's what you want to hear, right?
Oh, yeah. No, our general manager doesn't know who's good and who's not in the league.
So I'm going to have to have the intern tell me what to do, because
Vancouver, listen. So Trevor, let's say you give me the Sedines. Can I give you Colton Orr? Does that work out for you? That sounds like a fair trade.
Well, he's got Orr in his last name. That Bobby Orr is pretty good. Done deal.
Right. Is it just he's the general manager?
He's actually the president of hockey operations.
Okay, well, see, that's okay. Now, how much personnel, how much influence do you have over personnel decisions?
That's a vague question, because when the Leafs hired Shanahan as the president of hockey operations, everybody there, including the GM, Nunes, said that everyone would be that Shanahan would get the final decision on player personnel. But I know the fact that had to be asked, and I know the way other teams operate, it's the GM, so it kind of varies team by team.
Because if you think about it, I mean, maybe they bring in Trevor Linden and they put him in this position because it's name recognition and all that, and he's really not going to be pulling the strings so much. Same with maybe Brendan Shanahan or whatever. Or maybe they're going to pull the strings and it's going to be an absolute disaster. Who knows?
Well, speaking of the Canucks, I just want to have an update on Torts Watch 2014.
Oh man, Torts is still there, and Torts, I actually pulled this up because this is good. So in his post-mortem press conference, all the coaches, they have to do this. Would
you like
Canucks,
to explain why you failed this season?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Canucks just fired their general manager, Mike Gillis, and so that was on the brain of some of the Vancouver press corps. And then TSN's Farhan Lalji started off the press conference with the first question, and he then, instead of saying, so John, he decided to say, so Mike. And then so Tortorella then just said, yeah, asshole. and then went about the press conference as normal.
So John Tortorella, over the course of that press conference, finally enlightened us as to what was going through his head when he stormed the Calgary Flames locker room back in January.
God, I watched video of that just like 2 days ago. It's hysterical.
He said, quote, I wanted to get Bob Hartley.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what he was trying to do? I could have guessed otherwise.
No, but that is the exact. He said he wanted to get him. What the hell does that? What are you going to do? Assuming he got through, what was he going to do?
He was going to punch him in the mouth.
Okay.
Say, hey, I don't like what you're doing. Stop it.
And apparently he's pissed off that Bob Hartley had the gall to argue a penalty with the referee. That was apparently just too much.
Yeah.
So Torts Watch 2014 is ongoing. He still hasn't been fired.
He's not going to get fired.
I'm hoping he sticks around. I'm hoping he and Trevor Linden get some good synergy going. And, between the coach who doesn't know what kind of team he has and the GM or president of hockey operations who doesn't know how the league works, this should be fantastic.
I think it's a bright future in Vancouver right now.
Yeah, I just think that they can't fire Tortorella because they already have two other coaches on the payroll.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and I think I said this a few shows ago. He's still got one more year where he can use this year as like, I don't have my guys, and he can ride that for one more season. But yeah, the money thing has got to be a big part of it too, because if you've already got two coaches,
have to pay three coaches,
right? Yeah. And I'm sure they put out a few bucks to get Tortorella in the first place.
Well, they signed him to a 5-year contract,
which was goddamn ridiculous.
Just a brilliant signing.
That's New York Islanders-esque.
No, but hey, we can't talk about this, guys. We don't want to get sued.
Oh?
Get sued?
Did you hear what the Canucks owners did?
No.
Well, because at the time, because of the ridiculous contract and how the contract negotiations went down, a lot of the people had postulated that the GM Mike Gillis didn't actually make the hiring. That it was the owners that did it. Mm-hmm. And so after Gillis was fired this last week, of course, people started to bring that up again because Tortorella was still there. And so the Aquilinis, the owners of the Canucks, decided to put a claim out against the couple of the newspapers in Vancouver. I don't remember the names of the papers. But they said that they would threaten them with legal action. They would pursue legal action if anyone in the press claimed that it was the owners that hired Tortorella, which, of course, is a huge just boon of confidence for Tortorella. Mm-hmm. Sure, that makes you feel really good. No, hey, we didn't sign him. No, don't you put words in our mouth.
Oh, you know what? That this is coming from the team that boycotted CBC on an episode of Hockey Night in Canada because they thought of Leafs bias. Them threatening to sue newspapers that don't present the most glowing review of them.
Oh,
is
right.
Totally in line.
2-1 Rangers. Anyway, sorry.
That's totally in line.
I changed the channel so I don't have to listen to that terrible goal song. But continue.
No,
I love that goal song. Goal song. It is the best goal song in the league by far.
I have to agree.
Yeah. Whoa.
Chelsea Dagger?
No,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea Dagger's the most perfect goal. It's not the best, but it's the most perfect because it's just so easy for inebriated hockey fans to just sort of hum along with it.
Nash with a nice assist there on this goal. Not bad.
So who scored the goal? Just out of curiosity.
I'm still trying to see here. It was Brad Richards.
Oh.
His 29th career playoff goal. 8:22 on the power play. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Rangers take the lead 2-1.
So you want to go through the series real quick?
Yes, I do, actually.
Glancing around them. Let's, since I'm talking, we're going to start in the West. And obviously,
let's save your series for last.
Oh, you want to save mine for last?
For last. For last in the West, not for the whole thing.
All right. I guess some of these series have already started, but I know a couple of us already made predictions.
I don't think that starting a prediction now is giving anyone any great advantage.
Yeah. I mean, the Ducks are up 1-0. That could totally change the series.
Okay.
But anyway, so I guess we'll start with the Central Division winners, the Colorado Avalanche. Worst of first season, they were 29th in the league last year.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they got the number one overall pick with Nathan McKinnon. Huh?
I was just before we get into that, how big a surprise is this Colorado team this year? I mean,
I'm
it.
Huh?
Oh, I was going to say I'm incredibly surprised for kind of reasons we touched on earlier. I kind of saw the hiring of Patrick Waugh as kind of a publicity stunt, honestly, and then it turned out that he's actually pretty good at his job.
Right.
I suspect a lot of that has to do with him just being so batshit insane that he just scares his players into performing at a high level. But it's working.
Yeah. Well, it's a combination of a couple things. The young forwards for the Avalanche have finally all clicked. Mm-hmm. Duchesne's been great. Stasny's been good. Landeskog's been great. And like I mentioned, they got the number one overall pick, Nathan McKinnon, who is probably going to be the Calder Trophy winner for Rookie of the Year easily. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that's been great for them, and I think this stems directly from Patrick Waugh, who also hired his former goaltending coach, Francois Allaire, who's also was the goaltending coach for J.S. Giguere when the Ducks were doing great things. And Jiggy's the backup there, but the goaltending's been amazing. Mm-hmm. Varlamov has been near Vezina caliber. He actually broke Patrick Waugh's single-season wins record for the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. And the young forwards all clicked, and Patrick Waugh's made the goaltending better. And I think, we looked at the very first game of the year when they played the Ducks, and he's busting down walls and being all angry Patrick Waugh. Mm-hmm. But I think that it gave the team a certain swagger about them that they didn't have before.
Oh, right, just real quick, 3-1 Rangers now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another power play goal.
That's going against my prediction, but nice. But yeah, I think Patrick Waugh added some swagger. He made the goaltending better, and everyone just finally coalesced around one thing, and it's working well for them, to say the least.
So
their first round draw is the Minnesota
Wild.
the first wild card in this brand new system that we got.
The wild card.
Yeah. I can't wait to see if they put a banner up for that one where it just says wild card.
Well, didn't they? Well, they did retire number 1 for the fans, so that's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I have to suspect. Okay, the Minnesota Wild kind of give me Houston Texans vibes. Always a new expansion team. They seem to have they seem to be heading in the right direction. They always kind of improve. They always look like they're moving in the right direction, but they just never manage to pull it all together to make a decent run at it. And like you said, Zach, this Avalanche team's been amazing so far. So I've got to say that Patrick Waugh probably threatens his players into a series victory, and he just might murder the coach of the Minnesota Wild in the handshake line.
I just want to see this is my take on the Wild, and I may be way off base here, but I think that they're pretty solid defensively.
Yeah.
I don't think they can score a whole lot. They remind me of maybe a team similar to the Columbus Blue Jackets in that respect, but I think a little bit better.
Goaltending situation. Just a point of reference there. Goaltending situation's also a goddamn mess at this point.
Yeah.
Well, Briz has been pretty good over the last 2 weeks for him, though.
Mm-hmm. And what's his name? Darcy Kemper played good for a while during the season there.
Yeah,
I forget who was the
starter tonight.
Who was the starter? What was his name? I can't think of.
Josh Harden?
No,
Nicholas Backstrom.
Backstrom, yeah,
he got injured way on early in the season, and then Josh Harding played well, but he actually has MS, so complications with the medicine made him sit out for a large portion of the season.
Yeah,
and then it was the Darcy Kemper show, and then they traded for Brizgalov, and he took off, and it's definitely an interesting situation in that. But I think they're going with Briz. And Briz is capable in front of a defensive system to play very well, but I just don't. I don't think they have the offense. I mean, Zach Parise is a very good player. Ryan Suter logs a ton of minutes for him, but I just don't see. Oh, that was actually a very nice third goal. I just don't see them being able to score enough.
Yeah, that would be
at any point.
That would be my guess too. I'd have to take the Avalanche in this one.
Yeah,
I think I picked it in 6, maybe. I don't remember.
I think in the bracket challenge, which is, another reason why the NHL wanted to go to this format so that they could, kind of promote the bracket thing for everyone to do. But yeah, I think I put Avs in 6 just to be on the safe side because this Avalanche team hasn't proven that they're playoff ready yet, but they're playing against a team that isn't very playoff ready either. I mean, did they get swept last year or did they lose in 5?
Who?
So,
the Wild?
Chicago. Yeah.
I
think they got swept.
No, they lost in 5.
Was it 5? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, the Wild team from last year, not that different from the Wild team this year. And I think similarly they'll kind of lose to an offensively superior team in Colorado.
I would agree with that.
Mike? Care to put a number down?
A number, huh?
Yeah.
I would have to say...
You should have just said 13. That would have been hysterical. Well, go ahead.
Putting down numbers on playoff series, it always seems like it's never been my cup of tea. But if I had to, I'd say 5 if they're lucky. Honestly, this could end up being a sweep. Mm. I just think this Colorado team's just so... It's kind of like some of my predictions in our baseball special, in that the Avalanche have just been so dominant this season that I can't justifiably pick against them until someone gives me a reason to.
Sure.
And just the way that they've kind of been a buzzsaw all season, I have to give them the edge over a team that, as you said, Zach, really hasn't improved all that much. So.
No, they're the same team. But so the Avalanche would have to play the winner of the new Central Division playoff format again as the number 2 seed in the Central Division, the St. Louis Blues, taking on the number 3 seed from the Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks.
Defending Stanley Cup champion.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Indeed. Chicago, again, it's kind of like what you said, Mike, with nobody proving any good reason not to pick the Avalanche. As good as the Blues have been this year, the way that they falter down the stretch. The way the Blackhawks are just kind of, the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
I don't see the Blues winning the series. I kind of want them to, but I think Chicago wins this one in probably 6 games.
I would agree with that.
Because I don't know how much you want to go deep on this, because everyone knows what the Blackhawks are made of, and the Blues. Yeah, we mentioned it with Ryan Miller and kind of the additions they made, but I don't know if they have it.
I think that you've got to give all things being equal, the fact that the Blackhawks are the defending Stanley Cup champions probably makes a difference. If everything else is the same, I think the Blackhawks would win this one. I like 6 games too. Be my pick. Or 13.
I've got to go. 6 games seems about right. Just the way that Blues team limped into the playoffs, the way Ryan Miller just has not played up to the standards we know he's capable of.
No, and even when I've seen him in this one game so far, we're 9 minutes into the second period, but unless something flips on his head, Ryan Miller doesn't seem like it's that much of a difference for the Blues than Brian Elliott or Yaroslav Halak would have been.
And as we mentioned, the start of the end of the regular season and the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's not the time you want your goalie to go on a skid.
No.
And I can tell you, first person experience, the mental side of goaltending is very prevalent. If you get it in your head that you're playing poorly, well, you're going to play poorly. That's just the way it works.
I don't know much about goaltending, but let's say that you do start out a series cold, or maybe not necessarily cold, but not at the top of your game. How realistic is it to think that you can turn it on and get hot all of a sudden? I'm sure it happens, but
I think if for whatever reason they lose any sort of confidence in Miller, they're going to switch him. And Brian Elliott's not anything to shake a stick at. Yeah, he's a pretty good goalie in his own right, but I don't think that would be enough to turn the tide in this series. St. Louis is bigger, they're more physical, but the way Chicago possesses the puck and the speed they have, and just they're easily probably the most skilled team, top to bottom in the league. With Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook on the back end, and of course Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves. They're just too skilled up front, despite how hard St. Louis wants to play. And St. Louis actually played well against them during the regular season series, but I think the 3 games St. Louis won were all shootout wins. Whereas the last 2 wins that Chicago had were by decent margins. So there's no shootouts in the playoffs. And
thank God.
Yeah. So I
ask the Florida Panthers how that works.
Oh man, that Panthers team was so funny because they got into the playoffs based on shootouts and they played like 4 overtime games
and lost all of them.
And lost them all. It's just so funny. But yeah, Chicago top to bottom. More talented. But St. Louis still a very good team, so 6 games seems right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would like to see St. Louis win. Nothing against the Blackhawks. It's just a new blood thing. But I've got the least hockey knowledge of the 3 of us, but make that 4-1 Rangers. But
hey.
But it's I just think the Blackhawks, again, just if nothing else, because they've got the experience and they've got the whole bit. And so, yeah, I like them in 6. Maybe not even that. I don't know. Those could go 7. I think I picked it to go 7 on the board, so who knows. But I will take the Blackhawks with the win.
All right.
I probably picked it different on the boards, actually, but oh well.
Whatever. Nobody's going to check.
Oh, someone will. I promise.
Somebody will. Now that I said nobody checks, somebody's going to check.
Uh-huh.
Let's move to the Pacific Division, and we'll start off with the.
Sure as shit. St. Louis in 7. Oh well. I'm going to stick with that. You know what? I'm going to say that the Blues do win this in 7. There you go. Okay. Let's move on.
Let's move on to the series that I'm not rooting for either side. I'm more rooting for Meteor to hit the stadium. The Los Angeles Kings, boo, and the San Jose Sharks, boo.
Best fans in the NHL.
The best fans in the NHL versus the best playoff team ever built.
All right.
In the making.
They should just, whoever wins this series, that should be it. They should just call it, and that's that. Hand them the cup and let's go home.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right. This is the way these 2 teams have played against each other the last 2 years. It's going to go 7. And simply because the Sharks have home ice advantage, and for whatever reason, home ice advantage has been a very big deal between these two teams over the last 2 or 3 years. I got to pick San Jose in 7, but this is probably going to be the tightest series of the first round.
I got to pick the Kings. I've got to pick the Kings in 7, if only because the Kings have proven that they can actually win a cup, whereas the San Jose Sharks have proven that they are quite capable of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory when it comes to the postseason.
But Mike, the Sharks are so fast.
That's because they don't have stripes on their jerseys.
Right.
You've got to factor that in, man.
See all those stripes on those Kings jerseys?
I forgot about that.
And their logo's heavier.
How do they even lace their skates up? It's amazing.
I'm surprised they can lift their arms after a period, really. But
that's got to be like wearing one of those just giant lead vests for the Kings. I don't see. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't see how they can match the speed of the San Jose Sharks.
I mean, the one thing against the Sharks, though, as it hasn't been in the past, really, their goaltending is a question mark right now. Because they haven't even said who's starting tonight. I don't think. At least they hadn't as of the last time I looked yesterday.
I sure hope if they haven't announced it, I sure hope they've told whoever is starting that he is starting.
They all go out for warm-ups before the pucks drop. So the goalies are sitting on the bench. Like, who's in net? Hey, Marlowe, strap it up. You're in cage. What? But yeah, Antti Niemi's been iffy down the stretch. Alex Stalock, their backup's been decent, pretty good actually, but I wouldn't want to rely on Alex Stalock over a Stanley Cup champion like Antti Niemi is.
Alex Stalock, that's a name that inspires confidence.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, on the Kings side, Jonathan Quick, he can, he's one of those goaltenders that can press the button when he needs to, unlike, say, Ryan Miller. When the playoffs come around, Jonathan Quick, or even in the Olympics, you press the button, Jonathan Quick goes. So I think that could turn the series too. But the Kings, they can't score goals. They had a little offensive explosion after the Olympic break, but they cannot score. I
remember a Kings comment when the U.S. lost to Canada 1-0 in the Olympics. A Kings fan said, "No one's surprised that Jonathan Quick lost a 1-0 game."
I think the Kings did it like 5 times this year.
Yeah.
It's very capable.
I picked this one, San Jose in 7, solely because San Jose is the higher seed. That was just that.
Yeah. Well, and like I mentioned, I think it was they played in last year's playoffs, and each team won every home game.
Yes.
And the Kings ended up winning.
My only regret is that they're playing each other, which means that one of them is going to move on.
Yeah.
They can't both get knocked out in the first round now, which kind of sucks.
I'm rooting for the Kings, if only because San Jose, because of that best fans in the NHL crap, is now on my shit list. So any team that plays San Jose will be one of my designated team justices throughout this playoff series.
All right.
Do you know, though, you mentioned that one of these teams has to move on. This is something I wanted to ask, and I guess we can ask it now because we're here. What do you think, at least, of the setup for the playoffs now? Rather than doing 1 through 8 and then reseeding, the brackets are all set up, and you have these, very compelling matchups where you have the Blackhawks and the Blues. You have the Kings and the Ducks, or sorry, the Kings and the Sharks. You have the Flyers and the Rangers all playing each other in the first round. And then potentially you look at the second round, you could have Canadiens Bruins. You could have Flyers Penguins. You could have Kings Ducks or Kings Sharks. The NHL did this because they wanted to promote divisional rivalries and get some bad blood back in it like they used to have in the days of the divisional playoffs. And it looks like it's set up to work for them, but the one bad thing is you have 2 great teams like Chicago and St. Louis playing against each other.
Right.
One of them loses in the first round. That's the one drawback, but I think it makes it more entertaining.
Honestly, I do like it. I came down on this whole realignment thing because it seemed poorly thought out and half-assed, and I stand by that assessment. But they did get the playoff side of it all figured out, at least. Yeah. I do like the new playoff system.
I don't know if I necessarily like the standings part from the regular season either, because thankfully the Ducks were never in a position where I really had to think about it all that much. Mm-hmm. But the playoffs seem to have worked themselves out, at least when it comes to the matchups.
Yeah. I do like the divisional rivalries kind of becoming more of a thing.
Yeah, I think I like this better.
Let's go to the final series from the West. My Anaheim Ducks, the number one overall seed in the Western Conference, taking on the Dallas Stars. And Dallas fought for their lives to get into the final playoff spot, and thanks to the Coyotes sucking, they got it.
The Coyotes losing to
Nashville.
Nashville, yes.
Yeah. And then game one, obviously yesterday, the Ducks looked amazing. They looked like world beaters. They looked like the team that I had known all season. They go up 4-0. And then a couple of questionable penalties, and Dallas gets quickly back into it. But, just watching the game last night, I just don't think Dallas has the depth. They have Jamie Benn, they have Tyler Seguin, and they both scored last night. But when it comes to the third line or the fourth line, they can't compete with the Ducks' third and fourth line. And Kari Lehtinen, he can turn it on and be good, but he didn't look terribly great last night.
He's got a bad track record in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, the last time he had played in the playoffs was when the Atlanta Thrashers got swept by the Rangers in their only playoff appearance. So I don't know if there's too much to say there when it comes to playoff experience for him. But
I got the Ducks in 5 in this. I think Dallas will use the home crowd and get one win because it might be like the Ducks are up 3-0 at that point, just one of those things. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you'll have any trouble with these guys.
I see a sweep, honestly. I did catch a bit of that game, and from what I caught, even when Dallas managed to make a game of it near the end, it was clear that they were not in Anaheim's league. So, I think the Ducks handle them pretty easily. They sweep them.
Before the series, I said Ducks in 6, only because for whatever reason over the past, the Ducks have this weird bad mojo especially in Dallas, but against the Stars overall. But after watching last night, Dallas doesn't have the depth. They don't have the horses to run ultimately with the Ducks, and I would move it down to at least Ducks in 5 at this point. But I don't want to be that person. I don't want to get ahead of myself like that. But yeah, so I would have Ducks Sharks. Either way, you're gonna have Ducks Sharks or Ducks Kings. Mm-hmm. Good series. And I really don't want to play the Kings. I don't want to have to deal with Kings fans.
But do you want to have to deal with Sharks fans, though?
Sharks fans are pansies. I can deal with Sharks fans. they're come on. They're nothing to shake at. But Kings fans, Kings fans. I have to live with Kings fans. Sharks fans, I don't see them. Kings fans, they're present. I know they're there. And then we're probably, and then you have the Avalanche, and then either Blackhawks or Blues. Which will be great, just to see Patrick Waugh get angry at some good teams. Let's move over to the Eastern Conference, and we'll stay with what we did last time. We'll leave the basically a sports show team to the last pick. So we'll start with the number 1 overall seed in the East, the President's Trophy winners, your Boston Bruins, taking on the Devil Incarnate, the Detroit Red Wings. 23 consecutive playoff appearances, and the 8th seed in this new format.
The Detroit Cardinals.
This is Red Wings. It works.
I swear I didn't try to do that.
This is my I hope a meteor hits the arena series. Screw both of these teams.
It's funny. They put the season series numbers up against for both the teams before the series started. Mm-hmm. Well, they actually start on Friday.
Yes.
Which is weird. I think it's mostly because so they could have Game 2 on Sunday, so NBC can have their knock 2 birds out with one stone. Boston and Detroit in one game.
In the playoffs.
It's perfect.
Yeah. God forbid they ever put the Ducks or Kings or Sharks or any of that, but whatever.
Lightning, Blue Jackets.
Well, the Lightning also have the terrible misfortune of playing against a Canadian team, so that obviously doesn't help the American rating, so NBC wouldn't even. NBC's they're not even putting their own crew on it; they're just rebroadcasting the CBC feed. They don't even care. But anyway, before they showed the season series, and Detroit actually took the season series, I think 3-1.
Really?
Right, but 3 of the games were played in October and November, and then the last game was played, I think, like a week ago, when Boston had basically already clinched the President's Trophy, and Detroit was still fighting for their lives, and they won, and Detroit won, I think, 3-2. So it's hard to get a read on it. Boston, but a lot of people think that Detroit might be their upset pick because they have the heritage and they're quick and they're fast, and Gustav Nyquist. But Boston was the only team in the league to be in the top 5 in goals against and goals scored. And I mean, it showed they won the President's Trophy. I think top to bottom, they were the best team from the beginning to the end of the season. And they have a Vezina candidate goaltender. They have a Norris candidate defenseman. They have a Selke candidate forward in Patrice Bergeron. The Bruins have everything, and Detroit was, let's face it, pretty lucky to even get into the playoffs. So I think I put the Bruins in 6 just because Detroit. But I could see this easily going in 5.
I got it. Same thing. Exact same thing. I got Boston in 6 in this one. But I will say this. It wouldn't surprise me that much if Detroit managed to pull off the upset. Not saying it would happen, but it wouldn't shock me nearly as much as a couple others might. I'll just say that.
I'm going to go Boston in 7.
I know that was painful for you.
It was.
Okay, we'll move on for Mike's sake.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Mike's other favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal, the 3 seed in the Atlantic, as close as Montreal is to the Atlantic Ocean, taking on.
It's closer to the Atlantic Ocean than Columbus is to being metropolitan.
Well, taking on the 2 seed, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And, of course, in Game 1, Tampa Bay dropped a close one in overtime to the visiting Montreal Canadiens to roarous cheers from the Quebec snowbirds that live down
the Canadian transplants in Tampa.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair because Montreal basically gets to play all home games in this series.
Well, to be fair, there weren't that many Canadiens fans. There were some because they live there, but not as many as you might find in the regular season. I think I would have picked Tampa before the series, but losing Game 1 on home ice in overtime like that, and the fact that Ben Bishop, their starting goalie, who was one of the best goalies in the league, if he hadn't gotten injured towards the end of the year, he's injured now, and they had to start Anders Lindback. And yeah, he was the number 1 star of the week in the NHL last week, but they were playing games that didn't matter against teams that didn't care. So I think I picked it like this, but the win last night enforces my pick even more. I have Montreal in 6, so they can win on home ice in the Bells or the Centre Bell.
Centre Bell. I'm going to echo a lot of the same sentiments. Ben Bishop was amazingly good. In fact, I think it was kind of crazy that he was snubbed from Team USA. I guess he didn't appear in the ether.
Jimmy Howard. He got beat up by a Red Wing.
Yeah, of course. But I guess Ben Bishop just doesn't have a strong enough connection to the otherworldly ether. But Ben Bishop, he was crazy good. Goes down with injury. You're playing Anders Lindback, for God's sakes. But even then, I'd say this is probably one of those series that's too close to call because these teams kind of kept trading positions throughout the season. The thing that pushes it over the edge, and it was that game. It was that game last night. I mean, obviously Tampa didn't look bad. It's not like they were manhandled. It's not like Montreal decimated them.
Stamkos looked great last night too.
Stamkos looked fantastic. But the problem is that in a series between 2 evenly matched teams, the team with the home ice advantage surrendered that home ice advantage. You can't do that. So, given Tampa's shaky goaltending situation,
and the fact that you hate Steve Yzerman,
and Steve Yzerman being, if not the devil incarnate,
did you see Did you see the side-by-side of the general managers after the
No,
last
I didn't.
night? Mark Bergevin, the GM for the Canadians, they show him, and he's just dancing around like, oh, my God, we scored!
Yeah.
And Steve Yzerman just stone-faced. Not even a reaction. Not sad, not angry, just still staring at the ice.
Well, no, of course.
Because that's what he did in Russia, too. They win the gold medal, he's just like, okay, cool.
Well, that's because when you see that look on his face, he is receiving instructions directly from the Dark One. But yeah, Montreal win. I think Montreal's going to take this one in. I'm going to say 7. There's still 2 very evenly matched teams, but I think the fact that Montreal was able to steal one from Tampa on the road gives them the edge.
I had Tampa Bay in 7 because just home ice advantage, but they gave that up last night, so who knows now. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Tampa Bay will get one back in Montreal, and they take it in 7.
Plus, Montreal is the one great hope for all of Canada.
Right.
It is the one great hope for all of Canada, yes.
That's got to suck for Canadians,
do people
though, because
in Saskatchewan get behind?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Canadians?
I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. When you have a team, okay, there are 2 teams in Canada that I think honestly could never represent all of Canada, and that is Vancouver because they're douchebags, and the Canadians because of the French-English divide. I mean, okay, yeah, people like to bitch about the Leafs, but fact of the matter was, if the Leafs were the last Canadian team in a playoffs, then you probably would see people from Saskatchewan, even people from Alberta who claim to hate Ontario, would probably at least begrudgingly rally to the Leafs. And I kind of like the idea. You know, I like the idea of the lone Canadian team. So I can't hate on Montreal too much, but at the same time, there's no denying that language gap is going to be an issue. You're not going to have people in Prince Edward Island or in Saskatchewan or in Manitoba feeling some innate connection to, les habitants. It's just not going to happen.
I was just going to say that, to me, it would seem like, let's say that the only American team we had as a hope of winning anything in a baseball tournament or whatever you want to call it would be the Yankees. Mm-hmm. And it'd be kind of hard to get behind that.
I think another thing worth noting, though, is that in 1973 was the last time that only one Canadian team made the playoffs, and it was the Montreal Canadiens, and they won the Stanley Cup. So,
well, there's that.
Oh, God. So the Colorado-Minnesota game just came on, and somebody in the first row, because they were standing up, they were wearing a current Avalanche jersey, the Edge Avalanche jersey, with Patrick Waugh's name and number on the back.
Oh, no.
He didn't wear that jersey, folks.
No, he didn't.
You don't get to do that.
It's like what you said when you were recounting your trip to Montreal, and you said you saw people wearing Maurice Richard Edge jerseys.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, no.
Well, first of all, Maurice Richard didn't wear the Edge. Second of all, Maurice Richard didn't even have the name on the back of his jersey.
Yes.
Yes. It's like those Yankee.
I was just going to say that. Yep. I was just going to say that.
Because
with the name on the back. Yep.
It's not correct.
They look terrible too.
I don't understand why they do that. I don't understand why they sell those.
Because people don't know the number 2 on the Yankees is Jeter. I don't know. Or I love the ones that had the number 13, and then instead of saying Rodriguez, they said A-Rod. Yeah, that's great.
That's even worse.
Right. Anyway, so we'll move on to the Metropolitan Division.
The Met.
And the first game in this series just concluded. The Rangers and Flyers, with the Rangers taking it. What was the final? 4-1?
4-1, yep.
4-1 final score for your New York Rangers, your New York Hockey Rangers.
The blue shirts.
The Broadway Blue Shirts going against the Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah.
Greg's favorite team.
Yeah. I got the Rangers in 6. I just because fuck the Flyers, basically.
It's funny. Before the series, I picked the Flyers because I thought that they had a little bit more offense to them. But then, not that I was really counting on Steve Mason, but Steve Mason didn't start the game. It was Ray Emery.
Ray Emery, yeah.
And so knowing that Ray Emery started and could start the next game, and knowing that the Rangers now took this first game.
He better not start that game, given what just happened.
Well, if Steve Mason's hurt, who do you play?
No, that's true.
That's healthy.
That's true. That is true.
I think I picked the Flyers in 6, but now I'm definitely leaning more towards what the Rangers are cooking.
The Rangers don't have the best time with the Flyers most of the time, but I don't know. Like I said, screw the Flyers.
Didn't I read where the Flyers haven't won a game in Madison Square Garden in like 2 years?
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
So that I was going to look past that just because I don't know. I kind of, to be honest, I mean the Rangers jerseys are great. I kind of like the Flyers jerseys more.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
I got to admit, I'll tell you.
I like the orange.
And I saw those jerseys in person back in January.
Yeah, they're a little faded.
But I tell you what, on my iPad tonight, they were just jumping off the screen, and it looked really good. I have to concede the point.
The white ones do look better.
Yeah,
the white ones do look a lot better than the orange ones.
I
wish they went back to the darker orange, but
Well, the Flyers uniforms achieved perfection during the Lindros years, and
I always thought the shoulder yoke was too big.
I guess
there was too much white on the home and too much color on the road.
I do have to concede that even though I despise them with a great amount of passion, they do have a pretty good look. I will give them that. Everything else, forget it. But yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the breakdown of tonight's Rangers-Flyers game. Shots on goal, 36 for the Rangers, 15 for the Flyers.
Wow.
I mean...
So that goes even against I think they have better offense.
Yeah.
Were you Claude Giroux?
But yeah, the Flyers. I mean, they were kind of bouncing in and out of the playoff picture for a while this season. I don't know. The Rangers have been firmly in place. So
yeah, the Flyers were kind of a less out of nowhere version of the Red Wings. They arrived to the party not as late, but they were a team that struggled. And for that, I know the Rangers have a bad history when it comes to underperforming in the playoffs, but I look at this team, and the Rangers to me just seem like a better, more complete team than they've had in the past. And two names stand out to me: Brad Richards and Martin St. Louis, two former Tampa Bay Lightning. But here's the thing: two former Stanley Cup champions with the Tampa Bay Lightning. These guys, not only can they continue to produce, but they do have that veteran playoff experience. They have that championship winning experience, and I think that could potentially provide for a very solid locker room leadership situation that can maybe take the Rangers to that next level. So I don't know if the Rangers make a deep run, but I think I think they'll have enough to get by Philly. And Philly crapping the bed tonight doesn't really go a long way to disprove.
Can Rick Nash win his first playoff series? Probably.
He had a real nice assist tonight, but
I just don't know. It's like, will Bruce Boudreau win his first playoff series? Yeah, probably.
I just don't know that you can. That if you're the Flyers, I'm not feeling really good when your goalie options are Steve Mason and Ray Emery.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got through it for most of the year, but Ray Emery was clearly the worst of the two. I think he had like a 9-12 record.
I saw the Blue Jackets light that guy up for 5 goals, and the Blue Jackets are not known as an offensive powerhouse.
Yeah. Unless Emery can go down and punch Henrik Lundqvist in the face, I don't think the series is changing hands. Yeah,
you got to think too. The Rangers, I think, definitely have the advantage in net with Lundqvist versus those two clowns. So
easily.
So, Mark Messier himself said that he thinks the Rangers have what it takes to win the Cup this year.
No, they don't.
I don't agree with Mark Messier as much. I mean, he's my favorite hockey player ever, but I got to say he's probably nuts on that one. But he did say it.
I wouldn't say they're going to win the Cup. I definitely think they get past Philly. And just to answer the question of who do they start if Steve Mason's hurt, their backup is Calvin Heater.
Huh.
Who?
Exactly. Kelvin Heater.
Anyway, if we even, I think, I said Rangers in 6, right?
Yeah.
Mike?
I said I originally picked Flyers in 6. I'm going to stick with it because that's what I have on record. But I also want to go on record as saying I think the Rangers are probably going to win this one.
Kelvin Heater Wichita Falls Wildcats alumni.
Okay.
Should be noted.
Hey,
So, there we go. And he was the starting goalie for Ohio State University.
Oh.
His hockey team. So there you go.
Buckeye.
Well, that's too bad. He's a Flyer now, so any Ohio State mojo that he had, I'm sorry, it's just not going to fly. So that brings us to
everyone's favorite team, the
Yeah,
Columbus Blue Jackets.
When did the Blue Jackets become the board's favorite team? I saw that the other night. I don't know if
last
that's
year.
okay.
They were
Last year when they made that
playoffs. Yeah.
when they made that run.
I don't think
so.
no one could hate the Blue Jackets. Come
This
on.
is true.
No. See, you say that, Zach, but I'm going to say this to Greg, and I'm going to say this to all you Blue Jackets fans out there. Enjoy this while it lasts, because sooner or later, Lights Out is going to jump on your bandwagon, and everyone's going to hate the Blue Jackets. So enjoy it while it lasts, guys.
God, if that happens, I might end up hating him. I didn't pick this series on the boards, but I don't like the Blue Jackets' chances in this series because I watching the game last night, I just don't think they can hang. The Penguins just have too much speed and too much offensive firepower. I don't think the Blue Jackets have enough to hang with them to win this series. I'd be really happy if they could take it 6 games, but I thought last night, especially with that 3-1 lead, when they kind of let that get away and they ended up losing the game, I thought, that was probably any hope of making this a competitive series probably went out the window with that game, was my thought.
I think if they could play like they did yesterday, I still think that they can make this thing competitive. And, yeah, I think that might be just as much as you would want from the Blue Jackets at this point.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you want to listen to Michael J. Fox, the renowned hockey prognosticator that Michael J. Fox is, he picked the Blue Jackets to go to the conference final.
Really?
Yeah.
He's Canadian, so,
The NHL sends him that box of cupcakes that they send all the media every year with team logos on them. And now they sent them with a bracket. So
team logos on them, and are they like weed cupcakes or something? Is that what made him think they could go to the finals?
I don't know. But he did have them losing to the Bruins or Canadians.
Wow. I like his optimism,
Bruins,
but that'd be great.
I'd be down for a Habs Beach Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think though the X factor is Marc-Andre Fleury and Sergei Bobrovsky. If Marc-Andre Fleury is Marc-Andre Fleury,
where he has a mental breakdown and
you see,
becomes a shit goaltender.
That's what I was thinking last night. When they dropped a couple of goals, I'm thinking, this might get in his head, and who knows? But they just the Penguins that was just a gut punch game last night because they were up 3-1, they were playing great, and the Penguins just have that bam bam before you even know what hit you. It's tied, and that was it.
Yeah. No, it's a tough loss, but I think at the very least they can take solace out of the fact that it was a close game. And they proved that they can at least play with them. They haven't beat them yet this year, but I think it gives them a little bit of confidence. We'll see how they come out again. Was it tomorrow?
Yeah.
And then I think if they can, if they don't get blown out, they can at least have some sort of confidence going back into Columbus and use the home crowd, which I'm sure will be ecstatic.
All the games are sold out. I know that, so that's great.
Are you going to any of them?
No, I couldn't get tickets. It was they were doing this thing at first. I had the access to the early tickets, but they wanted me to buy season tickets to get access, and I said, yeah, that'd be great, but so I would love to. But I looked at the NHL ticket exchange thing. I looked on there, and the cheapest tickets I could find were like $110.
Oof.
Yeah, so I just made a pretty big expenditure, so I'm probably going to have to pass on that right now.
Yeah, we will talk about your expenditure. But yeah, I think the Blue Jackets will make it competitive, but I can't go as far enough to pick them.
What would have to happen, I think, in this series for them to win it is they would have to get the win tomorrow in Pittsburgh, and then 2 in Columbus, and then back to Pittsburgh. If they can get it. See if they can get a win tomorrow and they get both games in Columbus, maybe. But that's just a lot to ask. They're a young team. I mean, they're definitely headed in the right direction. But I just go back to that thing where I just don't know that they can hang with the Penguins long enough to win the series. Win a couple games, maybe, but to win the whole thing, I just don't know that they've got the firepower to pull it off.
Hey, Mike. Mm-hmm. I'm just perusing Twitter. Colorado scored, by the way. They're up 1-0. And I've just been shown these two delicious-looking treats from the Great White North concerning the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
And I'm really sad that we don't have them here in the United States. There are Oreos with the Stanley Cup emblazoned on them.
Cool.
And there are also solid Hershey chocolate Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Stanley Cups made out of pure chocolate.
Yep. It kind of goes with that whole Easter thing, you know? Some kids want a giant chocolate rabbit. Some kids get a giant chocolate Stanley Cup.
That would be the Oreos would be cooler than all get out.
Well, the Oreos don't look like Stanley Cups.
No, I know, but but still they have it on there. That would be cool. Oh man, those are awesome.
Yeah, in fact, the grocery store right down the road has like a giant stack of them.
Oh, for God's sakes!
I bet you could order those somehow.
Would you guys appreciate chocolate Stanley Cups?
I would stick it on the shelf. I wouldn't eat it.
Would you guys like that? Because I mean, I could go.
I'll tell you what. If you do that, I will send you the potato chips I promised you years ago, and I'll actually get them in the mail and send them out.
I was gonna say I'll swing by the grocery store, or I'll pick up a couple Stanley Cups, and then on the way back, I'll just grab some Timbits and.
Oh.
But yes, if you would, I would love some of the Oreos too. But anyway, we can deal with all that when we're done with the show. But are we done with the Stanley Cup playoffs, guys?
One more postseason hockey announcement. Montreal Maroons are Cup champions. Woo!
Yeah, well, send me a T-shirt too.
I just might get those made.
Shall we talk some new football uniforms?
We shall.
NCAA football uniforms?
Yeah.
NCAA Nike uniforms?
Well, this is going to get good, huh?
Nike came out with a quadruplet this week. Florida State, Seminoles, Miami, Hurricanes, Syracuse, Orange, Illinois, Illini? Fighting Illini?
Fighting Illini, yes.
Or did they take the fighting out because that's racist?
I don't know. I think they're still the Fighting Illini.
Okay.
I think the thing was they could keep the name as it was. They just couldn't use the Indian logo. So.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely still the Fighting Illini. Okay, so I guess we'll start at the top.
Well, wait. Well, yeah, okay, that's a good place because I have a question about this. Go ahead.
Okay, Florida State. I mean, not everything too different. They cleaned up the Seminole logo a little bit.
I don't like the new logo.
You don't?
The old one, okay, the new one, graphically speaking, is a clear improvement. But the old one, when I think college football in the American South, I kind of get a stripped down, kind of a grungy feel. That's sort of the idea that comes to mind. And I thought that the now old Seminole logo captured that kind of not entirely professional level, kind of grungy, kind of dirty, that kind of aesthetic to it. The new logo isn't bad by any means. I wouldn't even say it is a downgrade, but I do think it lacks a bit of the charm that I liked in the old logo. So,
I like the new logo, but I think the new spear is actually much better than the old spear.
I honestly never looked at the old spear close enough to know the difference. So when people were saying, "Oh, this new spear is awesome," like, it's a golden.
I guess if you like the old one for its kind of grunginess, I think you probably like the old spear for its grunginess. But but the big change is the pattern. That's basically, I mean, the jerseys look the same.
Mm-hmm. Different number font.
A little different number font, but gold helmet with the spear on it, gold pants, garnet jersey. But instead of the feather pattern on the sleeves and collar area, it's now a Seminole design with these little arrows and kind of squiggle marks. They're just calling it the Seminole pattern.
Is this an actual pattern that the Seminole tribe uses, or is this just something that they designed that looks Native American-y?
Well, that's what they're telling us to believe. Yeah,
it's probably something that Nike came up with, but
the pattern also seems to form small FS monograms and spears as well. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
that's a little bit, yeah.
Let's see.
And if it does do that, then I doubt it's authentic seminal art.
Yeah, probably not.
I doubt that.
Either that, it was an incredible coincidence.
I doubt 300 years ago, the Seminole, traditional Seminole art was being designed to make FS spear logos.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Nike uniform unveiling without some Nike speak.
Nike speak! I love this.
FSU's goals with these new uniforms was apparently to, quote, ignite tradition.
So they're setting tradition on fire? Is that?
Yeah. That sums up Nike beautifully. Igniting tradition.
But what that means is they want to jump forward into the future with the rest of college football, but also keep the tradition of the storied program alive.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the future of college football, and it ain't so great.
Not pretty.
Yeah. But I will say that normally I hear a Nike redesign and I get scared to death, but other than the all-black look, I think these are pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, and even with the all-black look, I like the garnet helmet.
I love the garnet helmet. I think that's awesome. It really looks great.
The thing that I really love is they took the spears, and instead of cutting them off like they had on the old helmet where it cut off like 3/4 of the way back to the helmet, the spears now go all the way to the back, and they actually cross towards the base of the helmet on the backside.
That'll be cool.
You don't see it in any of these pictures, but I did see pictures of the back of the helmet, and the spears do extend and cross. So they're not these little, broken. They don't look broken. They actually look like they're long spears.
I mean, I'm not crazy. I never liked Nike and their font's sakes fonts, but this one's not bad. It's not too crazy.
It's tame.
And again, other than I like the black jersey, I love the garnet helmet. I'm never big on the all black monochrome thing, but overall, I think these look pretty damn good. And I'm surprised because usually, we know how bad Nike is with the NFL. I mean, but good Lord, what they do to college football teams should be against the law. But these are nice. I really like them.
I do like the way that the pattern works here. They use the space. Collars on Nike's new football uniforms are huge, and I like the way they kind of use that to their advantage by using it to fill in with this pattern. It doesn't make the collars look like just one unwieldy block of color. It actually makes it look intentional. It gives it some focus design-wise. And I do like the way that the pattern works on the sleeves. I will say I kind of miss the simpler feather pattern on the sleeves that the old ones had. But
I'm not killer with the pattern being on the shoulder caps, but
yeah. But it's not bad per se. And Zach, you were saying that they're probably not going to do much mixing and matching. Like these combos are probably going to be the combos.
I believe so. I think that's what I read. I don't see it in this little snippet here from the mothership. But
that's too bad because that garnet helmet with the black jersey on those gold pants would be kick ass.
But speaking of the helmets, apparently when Nike presented these, the gold helmet had the gold face mask and the garnet helmet had the garnet mask. And the coach of the Seminoles put his foot down and said, no, switch the face masks. And so they did.
Oh, good on him.
So it is nice, because of Nike's shenanigans. It's nice when someone when someone says, no, this is how we're going to do it. So I like that.
But I mean, that's the Seminoles look. And I mean, from far away, they're going to look like the Seminoles as they always have.
Yeah.
I think I give them. These are great. I really like them, and I'm surprised.
The only thing I would change, while still keeping the same design, is I'd maybe go with garnet numbers with gold outlines on the white. Maybe.
Yeah. The gold kind of gets lost in the white. You're right.
It's too bad they're not going
to.
It's too bad they're not going to mix and match these because there's some really cool combos you could come up with this set. It's too bad.
Maybe they do.
I'm sure they will. You can't have those three uniforms and not at some point go, you know what? What if we wore the black jersey? It'll happen. It'll have to.
Let's move across the state to the Miami Hurricanes,
who haven't looked good since 1983, but
and will continue to not look good.
Okay, so a couple years back, when I still kept up on college football news before I was beaten down by the stupid, I heard rumors that the Hurricanes were going to go to like a traditional look modeled after like their 80s and 90s dynasties, and that has not happened. Instead, they've just gone with more stupid. And one question I want to ask you guys have obviously been paying more attention to American college football longer than I have, Is there any justification for why the Miami Hurricanes are wearing a gray monochrome uniform and an orange helmet?
None that I know of.
Well, hurricane, it's a storm.
Gray skies. There you go. See, we can do Nike speak. Come on.
Well, see, I feared that this was going to happen because you remember the uniforms they wore last year, the gray ones?
They did? I don't.
Were they like a pro combat deal or something?
Well, they wore gray uniforms with the white helmet that they're wearing on these new uniforms with the metallic decal. Mm-hmm. And the white helmet kind of faded from white to gray at the base of the helmet. It was matte, too. And instead of having last names on their jerseys, it said Hurricanes. But it was in Miami's god-awful font that they have. So half the letters were capitalized and half of them weren't. So it was like Hurricanes. And so this is kind of building off that. The thing that I don't like is they're incorporating what looks to be like a stylized version of their mascot, the Sebastian the Ibis.
Yeah.
Ibis, okay.
And I've never thought that the Ibis really made sense for a hurricane in the first place. And so to kind of subliminally put them in there with the gray on the white helmet.
Well, there is a reason why they use
green
the Ibis
on the sleeves. I don't like it.
I've got a Mike Jeopardy moment for you.
Okay.
The reason they use the Ibis is because when a hurricane comes, I don't know if this has ever been proven scientifically, but I do know it's kind of urban legend that an Ibis, that the Ibis is the first bird to leave an area that's about to be hit by a hurricane, and it's the first bird to come back after the hurricane's passed.
Well, there you go.
So that's why they do use the Ibis. Although, for the longest time, it took me forever to realize that logo actually was an Ibis, because every time I saw it, I thought it was just a stylized tornado. And I was like, why are the Hurricanes using a tornado? I mean, they're both storms, but that doesn't make any sense. And then someone told me it was a bird, and I saw it, so.
Okay. As I read a little bit more, the subliminated Ibis is only on one of the helmets. They also have a regular helmet where it's just white with the U logo on the side, which is good.
Remember when teams had one helmet and it was just their helmet?
Yeah. The thing that I don't like is Miami used to be like one of the teams that had a unique jersey design from Nike. Mm-hmm. If memory serves, this little angular thing on the shoulders, wasn't that the exact same thing that Virginia Tech wore against Boise State?
It looks very familiar.
And they had the angular like orange stripes on the shoulders.
Could be.
It looks familiar.
It does look familiar. I think that's what it is.
See, that's the thing about all these college uniforms, though. There are so many of them now that nothing stands out anymore. And I think that's got to be a problem when you're branding, because you've reached a point where, like, you ask a question like that, and normally uniform geeks like us can answer that question immediately, and I got no idea.
I am right. Here you go.
I'm sure it happened at some point. Let's see.
It's the same thing.
It sure is.
So not only is Nike, I mean, Miami used to be one of the teams that Nike would use to showcase its stuff.
Right.
And now it's using a recycled Virginia Tech template?
Well, that's just kind of the way that Nike rolls. Back when they were showcasing new designs, they were national championship contenders. Now they're not. Look at Boise State. Remember a couple of years ago, Boise State was right there with Oregon when it came to pimping
Boise
Nike
State
crap.
Form in that game against Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Boise State was right up there. They were right there for Oregon, pimping, Nike. And now, you never see a Boise State uniform unveiling, make news. So Nike, when you're not always in the limelight, Nike's not going to put in as much effort. So there you go.
I think the number font's the same as they've had for the last few years too.
Yeah.
That is their number font. I don't like these at all. I think that I never really liked that number font. I never really liked this jersey design. The monochrome look from they've got monochrome white, monochrome orange, monochrome green. Not a fan of either of those. However, I think all of those color combos could work if you switch the pants up.
Yep.
But then we get to that gray, that monochrome gray with an orange helmet, which exists only because Nike. Nike
I think that's going to be mixed and matched too.
Well,
I could see a universe where the orange helmet goes with the orange jersey, and because one of those helmets that you see is also one of the ones with the sublimated gray on it too. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to mix and match all these. I doubt you're going to see any of those combos more than once
The green jersey, see, that's the thing about it. There are elements to all of it that aren't bad, but the whole monochrome thing is just, it's not working.
Right. I think just displaying it that way, they did it just to pair things together, but I don't think it's something that you would want to see on a regular basis.
And
right.
the white looks, I mean, they almost look a little Jets-like with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are it's I don't mind the sublimated helmet though. I think that's not bad.
Yeah, I don't mind the metallic decal on it, but I don't like the. Plus, it's like they're trying to make the ibis like sleek and angry, and it's an ibis. For God's sakes, the one in the real logo is wearing a sailor hat.
First time I ever went to Florida, I was going to a spring training game in St. Petersburg, and there was an ibis walking down the street. And it was the cool. I took a picture of it. It was the coolest thing. I was like, wow. It was by a parking garage. There was this ibis just walking along, like that's just where he was supposed to be. But these are bad. They're so Nike.
It's kind of sad that Miami is just kind of sunk into kind of relative obscurity.
Yep.
And I just can't get over how stupid that gray uniform looks.
Yeah.
God damn it, Nike can't. They had to, of course, even with a program like Miami, which has had 3 uniform sets, as a tradition forever. They couldn't help themselves. They had to throw in a gray uniform.
Well, I just don't get the gray. It's other than the fact that it's gray and it must be the latest thing to have in a uniform. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Hold on, here I found the gray jerseys from last year, and you'll see what I mean by the stupid name font on the back.
All right, let's see here. Come on, there we go. Oh my God!
Hurricanes.
Those are horrible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And they're just gray. There's no design elements to it. They're just gray.
Oh man.
When I think Miami Hurricanes, I don't think orange and green. I don't think the U. I just think gray.
Those things look like when we were kids. We used to take tape and put names and stuff on our. That's what they look like. Take masking tape or something, and they're not a whole lot to like about these. Although I think the helmet's not bad. They got a good color combination, but man, they just screw it up with all this unnecessary nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to
let's go stay in the conference.
Sure,
yeah, that's right, because Syracuse is in the ACC now.
Yep.
As weird as that is. Where'd my link go? There it is.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Wait till you get to this Nike speak. Go ahead.
The Syracuse Orange are wearing blue.
Mostly.
With this weird number font. I think the jerseys themselves are fine as terms of design. The numbers are weird.
Shall I give you the Nike speak on the numbers, guys?
I didn't even read the.
Are you ready for this?
Syracuse isn't even.
Custom numbers appear tall and narrow, mimicking the height of New York City's skyline. The numbers also feature a unique 44-degree linear V pattern. This pattern is mirrored on the uniform pant lines and shoulder panels for unified positioning of the Orange as New York's college team.
So the V pattern is uniform and mirrored because it's the unified positioning of them as the college team of New York?
That's it.
That's just stupid. That's just stupid. What's functionally stupid, what is beyond the pale stupid, is saying the numbers were designed this way to mimic New York City skyline. Syracuse is not in New York City.
No.
You lived and worked in Syracuse,
yes, I did.
New York.
It is a good...
Can you compare Syracuse, New York to New York City, New York?
Having been to both places, no. They are similar in one respect. They're both in the state of New York. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
I know Syracuse is trying... Yeah. Syracuse has tried to brand themselves as New York's college team because college sports aren't really a big thing in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, they are upstate, but not in the city.
Not really. They're not. The Orange, even when they're...
Not even with, Cornell and...
No. I mean, the Orange, they don't... you'd be surprised. They would get big games. I mean, they'd sell... When they were good, and this is way back and when I lived there, and when them and Miami were in the Big East... That would be about the only game that would sell out is when Miami Hurricanes came to town. And when Ohio State came there, they sold out. But other than that, you could get tickets to an Orange game pretty much whenever you wanted. They're not that big.
They play in the Carrier Dome. It's
But-
not exactly a basketball arena.
It's no, I'm talking football.
Oh, football.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could get football tickets whenever you wanted. Yeah, but that's the thing. You're trying to position them as New York's college team. They're barely Syracuse's college team.
Yeah.
There's a real divide between the university and the city because the city itself is very blue collar, very working class, and the university is a private school, very expensive to attend, and so there's not this. It's not like Ohio State where anybody can go there. So this is as ridiculous as anything I've seen. Bad enough that you're taking your numbers and mimicking quote unquote New York skyline, but this is a private school that's barely doesn't have a lot of interest in the city it's in, let alone the entire state.
When I see that, it doesn't exactly mimic the skyline. It just looks like the bottom's too long.
Uh huh.
And it just it makes no sense. Syracuse is not anywhere near New York City.
No,
like,
5.5 hours away.
5.5 hours away. So I don't understand that, and I really don't understand how the V pattern being mirrored represents them as the state's football team. Like, none of this makes sense.
It doesn't have
just
to.
Nonsense.
It's Nike speak. It doesn't have to make sense.
Literally, that last sentence makes no grammatical sense.
Yeah, it's just words.
Right.
It's just words.
They mean nothing. Like, at least, okay, yeah, we're trying to do it to mimic the skyline. All right, fine.
Let me
But then
read
you
that
go into
sentence again. This pattern is mirrored on the uniform pant lines and shoulder panels for unified positioning of the Orange as New York's college team.
Okay, the first part of the sentence makes sense. This pattern is mirrored on the uniform pant lines and shoulder panels. Okay, that's a fact. That is a statement, though, yes, they are mirrored. For the unified positioning, I don't know what unified positioning means, of the Orange as New York's college team.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That is a nonsense sentence.
The second half of that sentence makes zero sense.
Well, and not to mention the fact that New York City, when it comes to college basketball, probably more into St. John's and what's the other one there? Didn't Manhattan have a tournament team a couple of times? This is ridiculous. And to make matters worse, the uniforms aren't that well. Again, you've got the situation where, and I'm sure they're just doing it to match them up, but it's all monochrome. It's monochrome blue, white, and then we got the gray.
Well, you see the picture of the guys modeling it in the city, how they're all mixed-matched.
Oh, okay, there we go, yeah.
Orange helmet, gray jersey, blue pants. That's a great combo. And here's the other thing. Okay, good, you have an orange helmet, you have orange numbers. You're the Syracuse Orange.
Right.
Maybe you should have an orange primary jersey?
In football, and all the time I've known about them, they've never had one in football.
Right. I know in basketball they do.
Yeah.
Basketball's all orange, but why does football decide to go with the navy? I guess that's just because tradition, and I don't remember the guy's name, but I know number 44 is the Express.
Ernie Davis.
There you go.
That's kind of like their big number they give out. If you get to wear number 44, it's a big honor. I think did Jim Brown wear 44? He may have, and then it was Ernie Davis. And over the years, it's been like Derek Coleman played basketball there, wore 44. But that's kind of their thing.
Mm-hmm. And again, you would think that the alternate would be an opportunity to break out an orange jersey, but no, gray.
No, we'll go with gray. Yeah,
because Nike.
Because Nike.
Yeah.
Was there any reasoning for the gray? Was it to mimic the concrete jungle of New York City?
Well, that's what the reasoning is going to be. We have just decreed it such, so that's why.
Nike executives are probably going to listen to the show and be like, "Oh, that's a good one.
That's good. Yeah.
Write that down. Hey, Jim, write that down." Let's see if we can send a press release post haste.
But other than, you know what though, I will say this: other than the stupid number font, I think you throw that blue jersey with the white pants, and I think that wouldn't look bad.
Yeah,
but there's not a lot of crazy stripes or anything I like that. But wow, the reasoning for this is just ridiculous.
The jerseys themselves are fine. The number sucks, and Nike speak.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this would be like, say, the Toronto Varsity Blues, the team for University of Toronto, adopting green numbers, and then the official reasoning being it mimics the green from the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. Like, well, okay.
I mean,
Not
why?
in Ottawa, but okay.
When you've got to come up with complete utter gibberish like that, why not just say, "Hey, we changed the uniforms. We thought this would look cool." I would respect that. I'd be like, maybe I don't agree, but at least you're not trying to feed me some line of nonsense.
But, people would just be like, well, Nike's just taking over the team, doing whatever they want. There's no reasoning behind it. And so this is them putting reasoning behind it. And then until you actually I know. Until smart people like us read the reasoning, it's like, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'm going to go to the actual press release here and see if I can find any more great Nike speak.
While you're doing that,
I've actually got a great example of Nike speak for our next one.
Greg, watch your iPad.
I hear a horn going off. Did the Blues score?
The Blues did score.
Excellent.
1:45 left in the third period.
Okay,
Ooh.
I'm still about. I'm a good ways away yet here.
But
I heard the horn go off in the living room, so.
Let's move on to the other orange and blue team that released a uniform. The University of Illinois, your Fighting Illini. Going away from the Illinois on the side of the helmet, which is
a shame, because I always liked that helmet design.
Really?
Yeah.
I just thought it was a total rip-off of the old Giants uniforms used to wear back in the 80s.
It totally was. It totally was. But I always liked the way it looked, rip-off or not. I just thought it looked cool. So.
I thought Illinois was too long of a word to slap on the side of a helmet.
There's the goal. Anyway, I will say this. Don't you find it interesting that a school with not a hint of orange in its name wears more orange than the team that actually is called the Orange?
Yeah, well, I mean, Illinois is an orange and blue team.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They've got an orange jersey, yet the Syracuse Orange do not.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, these are nice. The only thing I don't like the orange collar on the blue jersey. It stands out a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Especially with the orange helmet. But otherwise, it's nice. I like the little the eye logo on the collar.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
You know what? You take this orange jersey that they have there, put the NFL shield on the collar. That's a decent Broncos look.
That really is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But we were talking about Nike speak, and I'm not sure if I can top their justification for Syracuse with it being literal nonsense. But it turns out that Nike's official description for Illinois, for the new number patterns for the University of Illinois, was actually copy and pasted word for word from their description from University of Missouri's number font 2 years ago.
You're kidding.
Okay, here is what they said. Here's what they said about the new number font for the University of Illinois. The letter forms are bold and energetic, infused with speed. The serifs are sleek and powerful, drawing inspiration from the fast cuts and aggressive play style of Red Grange. Okay. So that was what they said for Illinois 2 years ago. Wayback Machine. Nike unveils University of Missouri's new uniforms. The typefaces are infused with speed, and the serifs are sleek and powerful, drawing inspiration from the ears of a tiger.
So
it's the.
Ears of a tiger makes sense because a tiger is actually the mascot. But the hard cuts and fast play of the Illinois football team, have they not watched the Illinois football team?
Well, but you know,
come on.
Grange it mentioned Red Grange specifically, but even then, old-timey football was not
hard, fast, and loose.
No, it was actually kind of sloppy and
brutal.
Yeah, but it's the same exact word for word, same description.
I will say though that this is unusual for me. We've had 4 Nike uniform designs, and I've liked 3 of them. This never happens.
I don't like the basketball jerseys.
Well, yeah, but
and there's a gray basketball jersey, just so Nike can get left out of the party there. In case you forgot that, another team needed gray.
Now this new shield logo of theirs, it's apparently based off of an arch that is on the University of Illinois campus.
Well, at least it's in the same general vicinity, unlike Syracuse.
Yes. But this new shield logo, I understand.
We here at the University of Illinois have based our new logo off the Sears Tower.
But I understand what this logo is going for. It's the silhouette of the block eye against the silhouette of the arch. I understand that. The problem is that I keep seeing an H.
Oh, now I do too. Thanks.
but I only see the H. Well, hold on, let me look at the other one. No, I see the I.
Yeah, I do too, still, Mike. Although I am getting a little bit of a Stonehenge vibe off the blue now.
Yeah,
a little bit, but these are nice. These are good. I like them.
I like them too. It's a simple design. Nike showed some restraint for once, and maybe that's on Nike, or maybe Illinois just really knew what they wanted and reined them in. But whatever the case is, I like it. I still stand by my assessment that orange jersey in particular, would be a great Broncos update if they ever decided to get away from their current mess of a uniform. But I'll remain in the minority and say I'd like these even more if they kept the old helmet with the Illinois across the helmet. I liked that.
Didn't they wear an eye on the helmet last year too? I think it was blue though, blue like with outline white. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure.
Illinois is not on my radar most years.
They aren't on mine until football season. But yeah, other than the monochrome thing again, I like the orange jersey. I could do without the orange pants with the orange jersey, but overall, this is a number font. While again being font for font's sake, at least it's reasonable. But these are good. I like them.
And at least they kept the gray out of the football side of things.
Okay, all right. I will reluctantly agree to talk some NBA. Let's talk some NBA.
It's the playoffs. It's halfway important.
Okay.
Let's start in the.
But the first time we go, I'm out of here.
we'll start in the West. You'll at least know who team names are.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you to name players. We've already done that exercise a few times.
No, this is just gonna devolve into listing. Like, do you know who this is?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, let's do. So, are the playoffs? Are they set? Do we know who's seeded where and all that?
The playoffs start on Saturday. Everything's set. There's no more regular season games.
Okay.
In the West, your first seed is somehow still ageless. The San Antonio Spurs.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't stop that train.
I will say this: Greg Popovich has to be the greatest coach in the history of basketball. He just has to be.
It's insane what he's done with that team over the last 25 years.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Scotty Bowman in that regard.
Because they've won, 4 championships under him, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They've won 4 championships. Any other team, you'd be saying, one of the best of all time. But because it's the Spurs, just kind of flies under the radar.
It does.
Those nondescript championship teams of all time.
They really are.
I mean, you bring it if you're having a discussion and you're talking about some of the greatest NBA teams of the modern era, and someone will bring up the Spurs, and then you go, really? And then they say, oh yeah, they've won 4 championships, and then you have to think about it, and then you realize they have. But
they have.
But it's either that.
Duncan's one of the best. Is probably the best power forward of all time.
And
then Tony Parker's pretty good, and Manu Ginobili's all right. Oh, okay, I guess they do have a good team.
Yeah, it's always either like really or I forgot about them. It's just. And you could make the argument that they were a bit of a dynasty for a while there, but like Zach said, the 4 most nondescript championships in NBA history.
Well, it's a fundamental base team. They're not exciting, they're not flashy. They just play solid, good basketball, and then they win because they're the better team, and that's that.
And they're going up against a Texas two-step, with the Dallas Mavericks. As the 8th seed.
Okay, so we've got the nondescript, everyone kind of forgets about them Spurs against the clown show, the circus that Mark Cuban runs. So
yes,
okay,
and Dirk Nowitzki,
the
Berlin Tall.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into who else they have. Okay,
the Berlin Tall.
He went because Conan O'Brien went to Dallas recently, and so they brought Dirk on, and so. They had him take a Texas citizenship test, Conan, and so they made up these questions. One of them was like, "What is one of Dirk Nowitzki's nicknames?" And then he said one. I don't forget what it was, but then Dirk listed off like 7 or 8, and some of them were weird. But the Berlin Tall should have been his nickname the entire time. I don't know why it hasn't been.
Yeah, that's.
Is he even from Berlin, or is he just German?
He's German.
Yeah, whatever. German built Berlin. It's all the same.
I mean, if Syracuse is in New York City, and they will take on the 4-5 matchup of the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trailblazers.
So all of Texas's teams are in the playoffs.
Yes, they are.
Well, so wait, the Blazers ended up being a 4 seed?
A 5.
Wow, because they were off to a really good start. Well, then LaMarcus Aldridge got hurt, so that probably hurt him a great deal.
Yeah.
But
I don't. This is one of those teams, like, they're good, but I don't know a whole lot about either of them. Like, I know I can name players on the team: Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Does Tracy McGrady still play for the
Houston Rockets? No. But they do have the beard. They do have the beard, James Harden, and everybody's favorite center, Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
They can make some noise maybe in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for the Rockets, if only because I loved the uniforms that they had when they won back-to-back championships.
Oh my God, you like those things?
Yes.
Oh, they were horrible.
No, not like not the pajama ones.
What ones? What am I? Oh, I remember. Okay, yeah, I remember the ones you're talking
the
about.
Hakeem jerseys.
The what?
The ones Hakeem wore.
Oh yeah, those weren't bad.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no.
I'm thinking
not
of the
those,
pajamas.
Not those. No, those were terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not those.
But yeah, but the Trailblazers, they got off. I mean, for what I know, they got off to they were a really good team all season, but losing Aldridge, and he's been out a while because I know that I lost him. He was on my fantasy team, and with about 4 weeks to go in the season, he went down. So he's been out a while. I don't know if he's back or not, but that's huge for them. So.
Yeah. Let's see the next series. The 3 seed, the Los Angeles Lakers.
Lakers made the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean I see Los Angeles as the 3 seed.
No, it's the
another-
Clippers.
Is there another,
Nice try.
Is there another team in Los Angeles?
No, that would have to be the Clippers. I mean, I almost fell for it till you said 3 seed.
The Los Angeles Clippers.
The Lakers probably could have had a chance if they were in the East.
I think you, me, Zach, and 2 other guys had a shot if we were in the East.
Yeah, the local YMCA had a good shot. Yeah, the Clippers taking on the Golden State Warriors. Interestingly, 2 Northern California, Southern California playoff series in the 2 leagues.
I'm gonna pick the Warriors for 2 reasons. One, I just watched the movie The Warriors for the first time yesterday.
Warriors, come on, that one, yeah.
Yeah. So I have that running through my head. So Warriors.
You ready for another Greg is old alert here? I saw that movie at the drive-in theater when it came out, ladies and gentlemen. When it came out,
God.
Yeah.
And
Were you sitting in a car with bench seats?
I was in my 1969 Pontiac Catalina station wagon.
Oh my goodness!
It was an awesome car, dude.
Oh my God!
Well, it wasn't like it was It wasn't like it was brand new or anything. I mean, it was it was old by the time I got it, but it was still cool.
Anyway,
but and also Clippers gonna clip.
Clippers gonna clip.
Clippers gonna.
Congratulations on the 3 seed and your second consecutive Pacific Division championship, but. You chose to decide that you don't hang division banners because you're the Clippers and you have some sort of standard of excellence to uphold.
Yeah, I don't know where they got that idea.
Yeah, it makes sense when the Montreal Canadiens choose not to hang division and conference banners. When you're the Los Angeles Clippers, when you're the Clippers, you put up whatever you can.
Yeah,
Right.
but then if you do, you've got 17 Laker championship banners there laughing at your little division championship
the
banner.
Kings put up their division championship banner.
Yeah, that's a different sport.
Yeah, okay. In the final matchup in the West, the number 2 seed Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the number 7 seed Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh, that's going to be a curb stomping. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, the thing with basketball is like Houston and Portland's going to be probably an entertaining series. Clippers and Warriors could be an entertaining series. But are we really convinced that any other team besides the Thunder or Spurs is going to win the West?
That's the problem with the NBA playoffs is that when you get to, there's just very little chance of an upset taking place. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the last time was it an 8 seed knocked off a 1 was in Golden State, did it way back when, and they knocked off, I don't remember who it was now.
Dallas.
Was it Dallas? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't happen in the NBA.
Oh,
We're looking at this bracket in the West, and there are 2 teams there that have a legitimate shot at winning it all.
Yep.
And they're the 1 and 2 seeds. That's it.
And it's going to come down to them, and that's inevitably who it's going to come down to. So
a lot of people think maybe the Warriors can make a run. They think that they could beat the Clippers, and they probably could.
They'll probably beat the Clippers, yeah, but they're not going to get past San Antonio or Oklahoma. Yeah,
Kevin Durant and the Thunder in the second round, and that's
not going to happen.
Rough. So yeah, and then over to the East. Oh, the Eastern Conference
dumpster fire.
And this is interesting. I guess I'll mention it after I go through the matchups because
the Miami Heat and a bunch of guys.
Well, no, the Indiana Pacers are the number 1 seed, and Sharks Kings got underway. The Sharks have already scored a goal, and somebody just ran over Jonathan Quick, and now we're having Jonathan Quick is Jonathan Quick decided to do
Do a what?
a leg lift on Mike Brown, just holding one of his legs up in the air. And there's a bunch of wrestling going on behind the net. Oh, this is going to be a fun series. Oh, man, I can't. Oh. Anyway, sorry. I got more distracted by the entertaining sport.
Right.
Back to the dumpster fire.
Back to the NBA plays, the Eastern Conference. Indiana Pacers, Atlanta Hawks. Thanks for playing again, Atlanta Hawks. You're also going to lose in the first round again, Atlanta Hawks. Second round, the Chicago Bulls and Washington Wizards. 4-5 seeds.
I will say this. That Chicago Bulls championship window closed really quickly. 2 years ago, they were one of the favorites to maybe go all the way, and now,
And then Derrick Rose,
Right.
God told Derrick Rose that he couldn't play.
Yeah, and that window just shut, and that was that.
So I guess the question is, what's God's position on Derrick Rose playing now? Because that'll be that's the deal maker.
Is he even playing now? I mean, I thought he got hurt again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Like if he's hurt, like what's God's? What is God's projected? What's God's projected?
That's the thing though about that guy. I mean, he was one of the young superstars in the league, and now but who's going to win this? I don't even care.
We'll move on to the next series, and of course, the People's Champion, your number 3 seed, Atlantic Division Champion.
Oh my God,
Toronto Raptors.
Raptors fever, catch it! Woo!
Taking on the number 6 seed, the Brooklyn Nets.
Between the Maple Leafs imploding at the end of the season and the Blue Jays just Blue Jaying, this is all I've got right now, people. This is all I've got.
You busting out the Vince Carter throwback?
Hey,
busting out the Vince Carter throwback.
The Raptors finished 14 games over 500. Not bad.
Woohoo!
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I think that they were like, if they went over to the West, I think they'd be like a 7 seed.
Yeah, they'd be lucky to. They'd be lucky to.
Wait, who's the 8 seed in the? That would be Dallas, right? No, they would have missed the playoffs by 1 game. In the
Really?
West. Yep.
Oh, Eastern Conference basketball. Oh, make my head hurt. And then the final series, in what is sure to be a bloodletting, the Miami Heat taking on the Charlotte Bobcats.
Oh God!
The Bobcats. Look at that. They're over 500 even. They're 43 and 39. Wow.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? As much as I want to see the Raptors do something, I kind of hope the Bobcats go on a magical run. I hope the Bobcats win the championship as the Bobcats, and then they suck for the rest of their existence as the Hornets.
So when they're the Hornets, they have to raise a Charlotte Bobcats banner.
Yeah, and all those whiny fans in Charlotte who are like, we want the Hornets back, have to watch their shitty Hornets play while they have to look at a Charlotte Bobcats championship banner. I hope that happens.
The only way the Bobcats are going to make a run is if their goalie gets hot. So that's just not going to happen. That's my point.
No, but realistically, yeah, Bobcats versus Heat. This is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah,
I will say this about.
Here's the interesting thing.
Okay.
That people want to point out about the East. Some people had criticized the Heat, saying that maybe they lost some of the games down the stretch so they could get the number 2 seed on purpose.
And play the Bobcats?
Well, no, not just play the Bobcats, but in the second round play either Toronto or Brooklyn, as opposed to Indiana having to play either Chicago or Washington. Not that it really matters, but
I would. The one thing about it is that Indiana got the top seed. If I remember right, this was pretty much whoever had the home court won the games last year in that series.
yeah.
So if you're tired of the Heat, there's some hope now because Indiana's got home court throughout in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So maybe they come out and they represent the East, but it's going to be Indiana and Miami, and after that, it's just a bunch of nonsense.
So we think it's going to be a repeat of last year's conference finals. With
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pacers, Heat.
Why change things up?
Barring injuries to key players, I would think so, yeah.
And then repeat of the finals, Spurs, Heat.
Was that what last year's finals was?
That's what last year's was, yeah.
I thought it was
Remember,
the year
went to 7 games.
Was that last year? I thought it was the year before. Oh, whatever. No, I think Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City pulls it off this year, and makes the finals again.
I think we see Oklahoma City, Indianapolis in a finals that the rest of America just does not care.
I would love that. I'd actually watch that because it would be interesting.
Yeah,
you have two teams that aren't Miami or one of the darlings, Boston, whatever. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably not going to watch too much of it because the playoffs just don't look entertaining.
You're not. You're not.
They're not.
You're not going to jump on board.
They're not entertaining on the whole, but I mean, God, if any of these Eastern Conference games are on, come on.
Look, I got to think there's going to be hockey on every night that there's NBA playoffs on. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Who you watch?
You're not going to jump on the bandwagon.
I'll watch the freaking Kings Sharks before I'll watch any of this garbage.
The hometown Los Angeles Clippers. You're not going to jump on that bandwagon.
No, why? Because I don't want to be on the bandwagon for a first round loss. Why would I do that?
Who do they play again?
The Warriors.
State. They're going to get upset in the first round. Watch.
Yeah, I think so.
Watch, they're going to clipper so hard.
Yep.
But there's your glorious NBA playoffs preview.
Took us 14 minutes and 40 seconds.
And we spent an hour on the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Hour and 15, but who's counting?
Speaking of glorious, don't we have a glorious tournament of victory?
Yes, we will move on to that next. Okay, Zach, hit the gong.
Gong.
Yes, folks, it's time. The glorious tournament of victory has a championship match. Any guesses as to who it is?
Based on what I saw on the boards, I'm going to go with goddamn Batman.
Yep.
Taking on, who was the other two? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis
and
the Shark, right.
I think it was Daniel Day-Lewis.
You know what? I've got to check.
Oh.
I
know that one was much closer. And it's just, we can go ahead and say it. The Batman won, right?
Yeah, the Batman won big. Like last year, the chimp storms his way to the Batman, and then it's over. It's just the way it goes.
I feel kind of bad. I actually wanted the Batman to lose.
Really?
Yeah, only because it's just it's clear now that he's just too formidable a foe.
And to the voters, you all have to live with the fact that the only man who could have beat the Batman, you voted out of the tournament. So
stop.
So you have to deal with it, voters.
Okay, on the online poll, it was Daniel Day Daniel Day, the Shark the Fonz jumped, beat Daniel Day-Lewis 6-5. What was it on the boards?
Oh, then if it went to the boards, then I think Day-Lewis won.
Okay, let me see here. Let me check real quick. But
you didn't count these up?
I did, but I forgot to write them down.
Oh.
What can I say? Hold on a minute here. Let me see. I know that the Batman Chimp matchup was ugly on the online vote.
Yeah, and
I think the
boards too.
I think the Chimp picked up a couple votes on the boards, but not near enough to pull off the comeback like he did last week.
I meant to put an explanation to somebody. Somebody put a vote. They voted for the Chimp, and they said, "Has Batman ever been to space?" I think not.
Batman has been.
Oh, he's been
everywhere.
To
space numerous times. I mean, the Justice League Tower is in space.
Mm-hmm.
So Batman would have to get to the tower somehow.
According to certain people, Batman can breathe in space. So
It was 8-3 Batman on the online vote, and I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah,
I think the Chimp maybe picked up one vote. There were 6 votes. I think the Chimp got 1.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But the other one, we might have to check and see just how it turned out, because it was 6-5, right? And
6-5 for the 6-5
for the Shark. Let's see now. Okay, and make it 7-5 Shark, 7-6 Shark, 7-7. It's tied. 8-7. Daniel Day-Lewis takes the lead. 9-7. Daniel Day-Lewis. 10-7. Daniel Day-Lewis wins.
Yep.
So your final will be the goddamn Batman versus Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability in the glorious tournament of victory.
Now, I said Batman is too formidable a foe. However, what kind of performance could Daniel Day-Lewis give as the Batman?
Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not sure if Daniel... But here's the problem. I'm not even sure if I would cast
drink your milkshake, Joker.
I don't think I'd cast Daniel Day-Lewis as Batman, and that's got to be the stumbling block, because if he's not even going to get the casting call, then his acting ability has no power.
This is true. I will just say that based on how dominant Batman has been through now 2 glorious tournaments of victory, I just don't even... The boards love Batman.
Yeah.
If there's, like I said last week, if there's anybody that has more love than the chimp, it's got to be Batman.
And that's the thing, too, is I'm sorry that I unleashed this beast. Like, I thought, okay, the one tournament, but I thought going to the second year, there might be some backlash. None whatsoever.
No.
He's
See that?
he hasn't even had a close matchup.
Savior, people. I tried to provide a savior, and you shunned him.
It's just,
He wouldn't have lost to the Batman anyway.
I'm going to say this, and I apologize to all of our wonderful listeners, but when it comes to the glorious tournament of victory, you guys are pretty damn unimaginative. I got to be honest.
Pretty predictable.
Because everything fell right into the same exact pattern it fell into last year. And it's like, come on. Okay, in the real world, yes, Batman would literally just kick the living shit out of Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability. But, come on, it's the glorious tournament of victory.
Not that we're lobbying for Batman to lose.
No, we're not. But what I'm saying is, I think Andy made this point really well the week we had the selection show. It's just, it's just that I don't know if it's too literal, if it's too what, but just, I don't know. It's just, they're not, use a little imagination here. But, yeah, of course, I think we could just crown Batman champion and call it a day.
Because it also depends on how people look at it. Could Daniel Day-Lewis play Batman, or if Daniel Day-Lewis was an actor, would Batman be able to figure it out? And
right.
I think he could.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, I can't. Batman's going to win. Batman will win. Batman will retire undefeated in the glorious tournament of victory. Mm-hmm. And that's just going to be the way that cookie crumbles.
But credit to you, Zach. You put together a candidate that was literally unstoppable.
Yes. Well, let's not crown him just yet. He is who we thought he was. You want to go ahead and crown him? Crown his ass.
So that's it. The championship match is set. The defending champion, the goddamn Batman, will take on number 3 seed Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability in the Glorious Tournament of Victory final. Mm-hmm. Voting begins soon. That's it. It is time for, and I don't have the song ready yet, but I swear I'm working on it, Zach's tabs.
Yeah. I actually thought that you made one, and I finally went back and listened to the old shows, and I was disappointed to find none.
I am having trouble getting what I wanted to do what I wanted to do.
It's fine.
There will be one, though, I promise.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I want to start with this, that you and I have brand new vehicles.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Okay. Let's talk about the vehicles, and then we have to address the email before the show becomes...
We're not going to do the email.
Yeah. Okay. You read the email, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was just way too long.
The Maple Leafs don't want to miss the playoffs, but they do because they're run by a bunch of corporate suits and incompetence.
And he does not believe that. Who was it from again? Was it from FGM 13 or Mr. Negative? Mr. Negative. Mr. Negative, right. So, yeah, he doesn't believe that. And, okay, so. Anyway, we have new vehicles. Zach, would you like to describe yours first?
Mine is a brand new 2014 Honda Civic.
Fine choice of a vehicle.
It's a nice 4-door. The thing that's nice is I've had 2 cars before this one. First one was a 1994 red 2-door Ford Explorer. Served me well. Mm-hmm. And then I got a 2001 red 2-door Ford Explorer. Served me well. Problem was I got both these cars, when they both had 100,000 miles on them. Mm-hmm. And the second Explorer was getting close to $200,000 before a radiator cracked. So, we fixed it, but we was decided that I was just going to have to get a new car at some point. Mm-hmm. And we were looking in the newspaper, and there was an ad for $60 a month.
Wow.
For 2 years on a 2014 Honda Civic.
No kidding.
Yep. So went up to the Honda dealership immediately, called them up, said, hey, is this deal still good? And they said, yeah, this deal's good. So we went up there and we did it, and I got a Honda Civic.
$60 a month.
$60 a month.
Wow.
Well, to be perfect, it's 64.67.
Still,
That's not bad.
not at all. God, my DirecTV bill's more than that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, not bad. So how do you like it?
It's see that, and that's the thing. Like going from the old cars I had to having a brand new car, and like at this point, all the things that are basic in the car are 100 times better than what I had in the other car. So like, the display is better, and hooking up the iPod and the Bluetooth and the USB port and the air conditioner and the fuel economy button, and going from 12 miles a gallon to 30-ish.
Yeah.
28 miles a gallon.
Oh, Civic, Civic does closer to like...
for the first time today, and it was on... I filled up my car for the first time today. How much was it? It was only $45 compared to the $60.
God damn it.
Yeah, and a Civic...
$60 normally.
You should be getting... Well, I don't know. With the traffic out there, it's probably not going to, but normally, like highway mileage in a Civic, you should get like 35 to 38 easy in that thing.
Well, I'm not driving too much on the highway. It's streets.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I love it. I love having a new car and 4 doors, which is nice because nobody has to climb over my seat anymore. If I back. So
well, you've had exactly one more brand new car than I've ever had. So there you go.
And it's 2 years, $60 a month, not bad. And the back end price isn't too bad. So if I feel like buying it out after renting or leasing it for the 2 years, then I'm well within my right to do so. And
Hondas actually hold their value pretty well, so you would be you'd be okay doing that. Yeah.
Yep. It's a #1 rated safety pick.
What color is it?
Silver.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. You're gonna get some of those lights on the bottom and maybe some hydraulics, maybe.
No.
Okay.
I'm not gonna make it a rice rocket Honda.
Do you have a sunroof?
No.
Too bad.
Yeah, it's fine. My Explorer had a sunroof, but I'm fine. It's okay. I don't need it, but everything works, and just having modern technology in a car is nice.
What?
And I got silver because they had black, but black gets dirty really quick.
Right.
White dirty quick too. They said they were like, oh, we have a blue, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to see the blue, and then we can't find the blue, so I'm like, I guess we can't find the blue.
Well, that's like a problem on their part.
Yeah, and then they had like a burgundy red, but I wasn't too keen on that, so I was just like, silver.
Was it burgundy, or would you say it's maroon?
Yeah, it was burgundy.
I will say this: a silver car, gray cars are great because they never look dirty, unless they're really, really, really dirty. But yeah,
right.
But yes, the brand new versus used thing is truly amazing, and
and new car smell.
Yeah, you know what? And oddly enough, believe it or not, there is a new motorcycle smell.
Oh,
you're
outside with it all the time.
Yep, you can smell all the new stuff like burning off of it or something. But yes, last Saturday, for the first time in my very long life, as you guys like to point out all the time,
you bring it up.
I had I got my very first ever brand new vehicle of any type.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was a 2014 Harley-Davidson Heritage Softail Classic. And
that sounds very cool.
It is entirely badass, and I love it.
Now, Greg, are you becoming one of those?
Yes.
Those people?
Yep, absolutely.
Motorcycle people?
Yep. No, not motorcycle. I'm a Harley guy now, man. It's more than just a motorcycle thing.
Harley people?
I am a Harley person.
So explain to me the difference between just being a motorcycle guy and a Harley guy, because this is a culture completely foreign to me.
Well, Harley guy is a lot more annoying.
Okay, and you have become that.
People don't like Harley people. A lot of people don't like motorcycle people, but they really don't like Harley people.
And you have become a Harley person.
I'm trying not to, but I can't help it, man. It's just, the Harley people always say it's just different when you've got a Harley, and I'm like, a motorcycle's a motorcycle, but you know what? They're right. It is different, and it's awesome.
I was wondering what the Harley-Davidson avatar was all about.
That's it. That's it, and that's how I'm becoming one of those people now. Everything's got Harley this.
You're going to get a
basically
jacket,
here, Mike, to compare it, Harley people in the motorcycle world are like Apple people in the real world.
Oh,
yeah, kind of. Yeah, very similar. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Are you going to get a Harley-Davidson jacket now?
I don't know about that. I know a lot of people that ride Harleys. They do the whole bit. They wear Harley pants.
Are you going to join the Hells Angels?
No. I'd never get through the prospecting period or whatever they call it. I don't drink, and I don't really have any interest in killing anybody. But yeah,
Sons of Anarchy, maybe?
No.
No?
No, you know what though? It just really quick. I was reading about this. There are people in, is it Georgia? I think that have decided that they have become the Sons of Anarchy. Like they are
like the TV show.
Yeah, and that should get you killed. Those biker gangs don't mess around with that stuff. And
no.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm just really excited about it. I got it.
Are they really biker gangs, or more like social clubs?
Well, they're both, but biker gangs are very, very real and very, very dangerous.
Oh, yeah. The Hells Angels actually ran a good deal of the organized crime in London, Ontario. So.
Yeah. Now, I will say this in defense of the Hells Angels: not the entire organization isn't criminal, but there is an element of it, a small percentage of it that is. But their entire membership, it isn't like you've got to be in organized crime to be in the Hells Angels. But there is, inside the Hells Angels organization, a percentage of it that are criminals. That's just a fact. So, but anyway. But I just wanted to bring that up. I got my first ever Harley Davidson. It was my dream bike, and I finally have it, and I couldn't be happier.
Well,
congratulations, Greg.
Thank you. And congratulations on your car, too, Zach. Yes. I have a Honda. I've had my last 2 cars have been Hondas. I love them. They're great cars, and you can't beat them.
And congratulations to Greg on becoming everything he formerly despised.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, so here, do you want to go with, let's see, soccer, baseball, or hockey?
I'm gonna shock the world here. Let's do soccer.
Soccer, okay. Well, this might actually be on your sensibilities, Greg, because the New York Times, their style section, put out an article. The very formidable New York Times style section,
right?
Put out an article detailing how soccer has become a trendy fashion accessory more than an actual sporting like.
I don't understand.
To quote, this is particularly evident in New York creative circles, where the game's aesthetics, Europhilic allure, and fashionable otherness have made soccer the new baseball, the go-to sport of the thinking class.
Oh, please. But okay.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the allure. Nowadays, smart set types are expected to be conversant in European soccer. It's like the way you would expect somebody to know what's happening in True Detective. Hold on. For on-trend types with an internationalist bent, supporting, quote, and then in parentheses, never rooting for a Premier League club, never a team. And that's the one thing that bugs me about certain soccer people. You're not a fan of the team. You're a club supporter.
What the hell's the difference?
There is none. It's
there is
terminology.
None. It's the terminology.
So let me see it. So basically, hipsters are into soccer. Is that what this is boiling down to?
Basically.
Yes. Well,
basically that's what it's. But there was another quote that I wanted to read.
I will say this on the aesthetic. I think that the ball in soccer, not the more current ones, but the old ones with like the what would that be? A 1, 2, 4, 5. The Pentagon like shaped black things on it.
Yeah.
Coolest ball in sports. Just looks awesome.
Yeah.
But that's
Wasn't
about
that only
it.
used for one World Cup? Wasn't that only used for like a World Cup in Mexico? Like
I don't know.
Wasn't it used in the U.S. World Cup?
Well, I don't know. I've always I'm just saying I haven't seen that style soccer ball used in organized competition at a high level in forever.
Yeah. Let's see. And one of the quotes is from somebody that they interviewed. Anytime I'm at a book party, anytime that I'm at a book party or reading and soccer comes up in conversation, I find myself surrounded by young men in shabby genteel, loosely fitting tweed jackets gushing over the Gunners, which is Arsenal. In such settings, being an Arsenal supporter is even more predictable than having an MFA or a pair of horn-rimmed glasses, which is true. There's a lot of people that are very snobby about soccer, and obviously this article has gotten a lot of different response from people that are soccer fans. There are plenty of soccer fans that are fine, but there are the people. There's a lot of people, like there's more soccer fans than ever, and a lot of them are this type of asshole.
So what makes Arsenal so popular?
They're one of the big teams in London, and instead of being named for like a place, they're not like named London FC, or they're not even named after a neighborhood. They're named after Arsenal. They're a cannon.
Yeah. But I guess, though, what strikes me as odd is that hipsters usually don't like things that are mainstream. I think that they'd support something like Crystal Palace FC or something.
Well,
like
I'm sure British hipsters are probably. Well, okay, I mean, he doesn't listen to this podcast, so I don't care. Our good friend Makba, he is a supporter of Norwich City.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've seen that in his SIG.
Okay.
I don't know
Norwich
anything.
City?
I don't
Beats
know.
the hell out of me.
Like,
I'm pretty sure
I know
they're
what
not
it is because I know a little bit about British soccer, but
I'm pretty sure they're not in the Premier League.
no, I think they're a League One team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they've accomplished much of anything.
Oh no, Norwich is in the Premiership. They're in the
Are
Premiership.
they?
Yeah. I remember them. They played a game against Arsenal earlier this year. I saw a commercial for it. I didn't watch the game because Norwich City.
Did you guys see the size of that freaking image link I just put in the chat?
Yes.
No, I didn't click on it.
You're just
Don't.
trying to show a picture of a soccer ball.
I don't know what the hell that was all about. There's an actual better one under there. Well, see,
God.
this is what bugs me about. That's the thing, though. Okay, hockey is not exactly the most popular sport of the big four. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a. I don't. You could make the same argument that hockey's kind of the same type of thing, but hockey fans
Maybe in the States. Maybe
I know you know what I'm saying, though. I mean,
I can see you making the argument where hockey is kind of inclusive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that hockey fans are snobbish.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I was going to say. But hockey fans aren't like this. It's not like, hey,
No.
we're onto something that nobody else knows about, and look how cool we are. It's in my book, it's like the more the merrier. If I can get two more people to like hockey, it's just better for the sport.
Yeah. That's how I am too. But I'm not going to go around saying that I'm cooler than you, or I was liking hockey before any of you did.
It seems as if, in fact, it seems as if the type of people described in this article who would like these guys with the glasses and the loose fitting tweed jackets and okay, nobody wears tweed anymore. It's kind of terrible, but the reason why
they're hipsters. What do they know?
But the reason it seems as if this type of person would actually talk down to hockey for being too violent or
right.
brutish.
Well, and see, that's the other thing is people want to say, oh, well, when people, because I mean, we've had this argument before where you're like, a 1-0 soccer game is boring. Mm-hmm. Well, some people say, but no, it's not about the score. It's about the strategy and the maneuvering and all that sort of stuff. And look, I like soccer well enough, as much as your average American. Mm-hmm. But it's the people that are saying, oh, I'm a supporter of Liverpool Football Club. And just the way that they talk about things, like you on the board, you see Victoria Gooner. Have you seen him around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Whenever I read his posts, like his dad is, I think he said his dad is from Britain, and so it's a little bit more acceptable. But it's like you grew up in Canada,
Victoria, BC.
You don't use these like the way that he took and they're not matches, they're fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or they're fixtures or ties. It's like that's that Arsenal tie on the whisk. Yeah, a fixture.
That's like a lamp or a light or something.
If you go to like the EPL website when you're looking up if you want to see when a game was, and you know how for us it would say scores,
right?
Mm-hmm. On the EPL website it says fixtures.
That's just stupid.
And of course the standings aren't the standings. It's the table.
Yeah, the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that whole thing though, where it's like, oh, it's not about the score. That just kind of goes back to that sketch that NBC did with the American coach in London.
Right.
It's like ties and no playoffs. It's going to be easy. Why even do it? Why even play?
That's the thing. If it's not about the score, then why be a supporter? If you don't care if you win or lose, what's the point?
Wow, that's not that's not what I mean. By that, they mean even though it's a 1-0 game, it's still well played and the thought process and the opportunities and things like that.
I have no. You know what? I'm sure that's exactly the case. I have no argument against that.
Well, it's a clever play by the midfielder.
There are 1-0 hockey games that are just incredible. Mm-hmm, but just because that's the thing, though, if I like a 1-0 hockey game and you don't, I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to sit and try to convince you how great it is.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm asking out of soccer fans is this: look, I think your sport sucks. Just allow me to not like your sport. I don't come into your threads or your conversation places and tell you how much it sucks. So if I don't care about it, so just leave me alone. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Don't try to convince me otherwise. That's all I'm asking. But I understand that, yeah, a 1-0 game could be very interesting for a soccer fan if they know what's going on. So good for you.
All right.
Go Rangers FC.
Oh, shut up.
I will say that Dallas FC's got a really cool logo in the, was it MSL?
MLS.
MLS, whatever.
The MLS. The Major Soccer League.
And by the way, it's not the MLS. They would.
I know it, just like it's not the MLB. I get it.
Yeah, it's just MLS.
I understand.
So
Still
where do you
the
want to go
MLS
next?
to me.
Hockey or baseball?
Oh, we already did a lot of hockey. Let's do a little baseball.
A little baseball. Your Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Have you seen what they're going to be wearing against the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field?
I have not.
Kansas City Packers throwbacks.
The Chicago Cubs are going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the very first game played at Wrigley Field on April 23rd.
Kansas City Packers.
And so, well, no, that's not the. They're not the Packers.
Okay.
Oh, I thought they were. Okay, never
No.
mind.
So the Cubs are going to wear Chicago Federals jerseys.
Okay.
As in 1914, the team that played them, the Kansas City Packers, were the visiting team, playing the Chicago Federals at then Weegham Park. The Chicago Cubs didn't move into the stadium until 1916, and so the Diamondbacks. The Cubs are asked the Diamondbacks to play along, and so they're going to do it. So the Diamondbacks are temporarily going to move from Arizona to Kansas City and be the Kansas City. It says Packers, but there's Feds on their uniforms.
Well, the Feds was the name of the league. They were in the Federal League.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you have a link?
Well,
picture?
I'm going to send you the picture. But here's the thing, because since they're still the Arizona Diamondbacks, this isn't part of their history. They had to make some compromise to keep it a little Arizona-y.
Oh, boy.
So this is what the Diamondbacks will be wearing.
They couldn't just go with it?
Nope.
Oh, they put... Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I particularly like the fact that they're just going to stick with the Diamondbacks cap.
Yep.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to look so goddamn Bush League.
Yeah, this is what the Cubs are wearing. Against
Why couldn't they just go along with it? It's one game, for God's sake.
Because they're not the Kansas City.
So?
They've never been Kansas City.
Well,
They're the Arizona Diamondbacks.
This would have made.
I don't
They're wearing their Diamondbacks belt, Diamondbacks shoulder or arm patch, and then Diamondback hat.
I don't think anyone was going to leave the stadium wondering, wow, when did this new Kansas City team join the league? I don't think anyone's going to mistake them or forget they're the Diamondbacks for one day.
Yeah, and I guess the Cubs wanted to get the Royals in there, but it wasn't going to work with the schedule. So,
Wow. That's just a douchey move by the Diamondbacks. I'm sorry, but that's just stupid.
Yeah, it looks ridiculous.
Is that logo blue, navy blue, the KC
Yes.
Feds
Navy
logo?
blue.
So with the black hat.
uh-huh.
And the red belt.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And the red belt. Oh,
Did they give any explanation as to why they wouldn't just go all the way with this?
I don't see any explanation in here. But,
Okay. I think
I think it's just to say, like, so the Diamond, because the home team is responsible for the throwbacks,
right.
and so they made them, and I'm sure Arizona said, but we want people to still know that they're not playing Kansas City, they're playing Arizona.
I know there are some stupid fans in the world, but there aren't enough to make a difference, this big a difference.
We
It's
did
2-0
just talk
San Jose.
in our last show. We did just talk about fans who couldn't tell the team casts apart from the actual broadcast in the NCAA championship game. So.
This is true, but I still think, especially Chicago fans, pretty smart as a rule.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think they're going to get mistaken and go, oh, there's a new team that just started up in the middle of June or whatever.
They're going to be drunk in the bleachers. They won't even know.
Yeah.
They won't even know they're wearing throwbacks.
Well, I say boo to the Arizona Diamondbacks for not playing along and just going all the way with it. So what do we got in hockey?
Well, there's one more baseball thing. It's real quick.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't know if you'll know this one, Greg, But
Betcha I do.
well,
Go ahead.
because it's modern music.
Okay.
Do you know who Lord is?
Who?
Lord?
Just the one that we're going to be celebrating this weekend. So no,
Okay.
I don't.
It's Lorde. She's from New Zealand.
Actually, I've heard of that. Okay.
Okay, and she had a song called Royals.
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So I just thought it was a song because you hear the song, the lyrics in it. It's like she's not from the rich part of town. She's not going to be a royal. She's not going to
okay.
be the queen of the world or whatever. But it turns out that the song title and the word royal was not inspired by the idea of being poor or any of that.
Well,
it
the
was
idea of
because she
royalty.
saw a picture of from 1976 of George Brett and saw the word Royals on his jersey. And that inspired her. She's like, Royals, that sounds good. So I guess over the weekend, she finally met George Brett.
Cool.
And she was given a jersey.
I like that story. That's that's cool.
Going back to comic book movies again, I just find it hilarious that Superman is a Kansas City Royals fan. So,
No.
I think that's nice. I like that.
Let's see.
He could have been a Yankees fan. So
Okay,
let's count our blessings.
So we'll talk about Greg's favorite hockey team, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Oh yes. No, I loves me some Flyers, especially that Ray Emery guy. One of my favorites.
It's the playoffs, and of course, it's playoff beard season. Mm-hmm. But
Sidney Crosby's going to grow his teen stash out again.
yeah, they got to make it to the finals before you see anything.
Speaking, just real quick, the Columbus Blue Jackets. This is how you know they're a young team. Those kids can't grow a beard to save their lives.
But some of the Flyers, they've already had facial hair during the season, and they didn't feel like shaving it off to start it anew.
Oh, this is going to get gross if they go on a run.
So what they did, what one of the, let's see, who did it first? Jakub Voracek decided he was going to just dye his beard black because he has a big, bright red beard. And so in solidarity, Scott Hartnell also dyed his beard jet black.
Oh boy!
So that's that.
Well, so now is this going to become an addition to the playoff beard now, or they're going to start dyeing them? You know what would be cool is if they dyed them team colors, like the Blue Jackets. They could dye their beards blue and put the logo in it if it was a big enough beard. That'd be kind of cool.
Remember when the Angels won the World Series? Scott Spezio dyed his goatee.
Yep.
So that was cool. Let's see, other hockey things. Okay, so last week we talked about the highest selling MLB jerseys.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the NHLshop.com released their top 25 player jerseys for the 2013-14 season.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Never guess who's number one.
Crosby.
Sidney Crosby.
Okay, that was easy.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, let me think.
National hero, Sidney Crosby.
Number 2, he plays...
Ovechkin.
I was going to say, Ovechkin's too easy. I don't think it's
Ovechkin
going to
is
be
number
him.
4.
Okay.
I will give you a hint. He also wears a red jersey.
The number 2?
Yes.
Is it one of the guys from the Blackhawks?
It is not a Blackhawk.
A Red
It's a
Wing?
Blackhawks rival, yes.
It's
Red
not Grover
Wings.
Nyquist, is it?
No, it's not Gustav
Nyquist.
Nyquist.
Okay.
Grover Nyquist.
It just sounds better. Come on.
Okay, Zetterberg?
Nope.
For the Red Wings.
Datsuk?
Pavel Datsuk is your number
Datsuk.
2.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, the Blackhawks and Blues just started overtime number 2. So our first multiple overtime game of the playoffs.
And Andy is preparing the noose as we speak.
I was checking the thread a little bit ago, and we were taking a break in between segments, and he was hanging tough for a little while without doing the whole get out the rope and.
Optimist Andy didn't last long.
It lasted 2 posts.
Optimist. Oh, Andy.
R.I.P. Optimist Andy. But speaking of the Blackhawks, number 3, their
Kane?
captain.
Oh, Taves.
Taves.
Okay.
Number 4 was Ovechkin, who we already said. Number 5 is Patrick Kane.
Patrick, okay.
Number 6, I think he's number 6 because he played in New York.
Oh, wait.
But
where's he playing now?
he plays in Tampa.
Callahan?
Ryan Callahan. was
Okay.
number 6. Number 7, also a New York Ranger.
Zetterberg.
Between the-
no,
between the pipes.
Being Lundqvist, right?
Lundqvist. Number 8, the second Penguin on the list,
Falcon.
Yeah.
Evgeny Malkin. Number 9, the highest-selling Philadelphia Flyer.
Oh, wow.
I'm
what's
having
his
trouble
name?
naming players
What's
on
his
the
name?
Flyers now.
God, what's his name?
Frenchie.
Huh?
He's French-Canadian.
Oh, never mind. Not who
Oh,
I
the
was thinking
Cavalier.
No.
Oh, okay.
Claude Giroux.
Oh, Claude Giroux.
And your number 10, obviously buoyed by sales from the best fans in the NHL,
Joe Thornton.
Joe Thornton.
of. Who probably can't read his own jersey.
Which is,
That's
Joe Thornton's always really high on the jersey sales, and I can't think that it's only San Jose fans. It has to be people
No,
from
no, no.
Canada
I guarantee.
that also like
I
Joe
guarantee you, what the San Jose fans are doing, they're buying like 3 each to like inflate those numbers.
Who is number? Are there? Well, first off, I really doubt it. But are there any
Blue Jackets.
No Blue Jackets.
No Blue Jackets.
And he
Not
leaves.
even, not even
There's
Bob's.
a former Blue Jacket.
Rick Nash.
Yeah, he's number 15.
Okay.
Any Leafs on there?
Yeah.
Kessel.
Yes.
Okay.
Kessel is number 12.
Any
Kessel-
Ducks?
No Ducks. One King.
No
Angers-
Ducks at all, huh?
No.
Is
See-
it Jeff Carter? Is Jeff Carter the king?
No, it's Kopitar.
Oh, okay.
We root for teams that are basically irrelevant to the rest of the
Yeah,
world.
then the Sharks also have another guy. They have Joe Pavelski on there.
Really?
Yeah, he's number
Who
19.
outside of him and his immediate family would have bought a jersey?
The best fans in the NHL, Mike.
Okay.
Let's see, we got Lucic, Kessel, Chara, Zetterberg, Nash, Stamkos, TJ Oshie.
I'm surprised Stamkos isn't higher, actually.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, obviously Tampa, but a lot of people like Stamkos in general.
yeah, plus they have nice jerseys on top of it.
Well, I mean,
Well,
they look like
yeah.
Leafs jerseys.
I mean,
obviously.
the Leafs have used it for almost 100 years. Of
That's
course
what I'm saying. I mean, it's a good look.
Tyler Seguin, Joe Pavelski, Ryan Miller, Anze Kopitar, Jimmy Howard, Zach Parise, Brad Richards, and number 25, Marc-Andre Fleury.
So I'm curious. Speaking of Leafs jerseys, Zach.
Yes, I've seen the Toronto St. Pat jersey, and I want one.
They're breaking out the They're already selling St. Pat's jerseys to gear up for the 100th anniversary of the Maple Leafs in
I want one.
3 years. Yeah, in 3 years. So
Yeah.
Wow,
They
getting
could-
the jump on things, huh?
yeah, they couldn't just wait 3 goddamn years. I guess it's because of the way the season ended. They're like, well, shit, we have to give people something to celebrate. 100th anniversary, 97 years in. Woo!
Let's see. Another hockey thing. Let's see. Last Saturday, the Adirondack Phantoms were scheduled to take on the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. But the game had to be...
I've always been curious. Is it the Bridgeport Sound Tigers or the Bridgeport Sound Tigers?
It's the Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
Okay.
Although Sound Tigers, while not making any sense, is kind of a cool name.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, I almost thought Chicago scored. But the game was canceled due to unsafe ice conditions. Can you guess why it was unsafe to play on the ice that evening?
Okay, I'm going to say it was something to do with chemicals.
It was something to do with chemicals. How did the
Nice.
chemicals get there?
I don't know, but what a nice guess on my part.
Let's see. I've got nothing.
Well, on the night before, on Friday, the arena held a rave party.
Oh,
It was put on by Foam and Glow. The company prides themselves on being the world's largest foam party. The chemicals that were used to make the foam... The chemicals that were used to make the foam seeped through the floor that was protecting the ice and damaged the playing surface underneath. So they had to reschedule it 48 hours later to Monday.
So what the hell do you do at a foam party?
It's like a rave just with foam.
Okay.
What
You dance in the foam. They fill the dance floor with foam, and everybody gets in. It's like, oh my god, foam!
Okay, that will be fun for 5 minutes, and then
You
what
have
do
the
you
glow
do?
sticks and the music, and
Okay.
yeah, you know.
All right.
So
Young people today.
yes. So Greg,
Yes.
were you interested in seeing the movie Draft Day?
A little bit. Probably not at the theater, but I'll probably watch it eventually.
How do you think it did on the opening weekend at the box office?
Probably not very well.
Well, it made $9.8 million,
That's not very well.
which isn't too bad considering the budget was only $20 million.
Okay.
So they're going to make back their money, maybe. But
Maybe.
They made 9.8. They were. Does it say where they? I don't know exactly when they came out, but they were unfortunately the weekend after Captain America came out.
Oops.
So Captain America still got 41.4 million.
Of course, because Marvel curb stomps everything in its path, yes.
And it also came out the same weekend as Rio 2.
Oh, did it? It got beat out by that?
Well, beat out by Rio 2.
Oh, that's just shameful.
And the article that I'm reading is from Awful Announcing, and they make an interesting point as to who did they think this movie was going to be seen by anyway.
Well, that's what I was going to
Browns
say. Browns fans, maybe
because
football fans, I would think.
Right, because the other than the film's potential release day competition, another potential drawback to its partnership with the NFL, using actual logos and all that sort of stuff, and actually filming at last year's draft presented unprecedented access that few films have offered since Black Sunday, which was filmed on the field during the Super Bowl.
Right.
And the Cleveland Browns talk business with the Seattle Seahawks is more believable and more enjoyable than watching the Washington Sentinels and the Miami Barracudas.
You know what? No, you know what? I'd be so pumped for this movie if it was like a sequel to The Replacements and it was the Washington Sentinels.
Well, and apparently the NFL had a lot of creative control on it.
Yeah.
So they removed a couple things,
Yep.
including
Like drugs.
Kevin Costner's character being hung in effigy.
Yeah.
And they also said, I highly doubt any NFL warm room on draft day is anything close to PG-13. And then this is the big one, and I think that makes the most sense. While fans of football will know the NFL draft is coming soon, the casual observer will not. College ties the players that drive the audiences to ESPN and NFL Network on draft weekend, not necessarily to the movie theater to see the fake Cleveland Browns. See the fake Cleveland Browns, run by Crash Davis, trade the number 7 overall pick. The idea behind the movie simply about the draft and nothing else is intriguing to people that care about it, but won't have much crossover appeal.
Well, has it gotten? What kind of reviews has it gotten?
I've actually heard the reviews are pretty good, all things considered. Like
Let's see. A lot of people are saying that Kevin Costner can't carry the film, and of course, since it's a football film, people have the license to use the puns, calling it a bit of a fumble.
Oh.
But
the thing that worries me the most about this movie, and I know the budget was small. Originally, it was supposed to be the Buffalo Bills, right?
yeah,
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, they didn't even bother with the trailer to change the color scheme from the Bills color scheme where it says draft day. You know, they put the full screen up.
Yeah.
They didn't even bother to change it to Browns colors. That worries me. A little
To
bit.
me,
It's kind of like, okay, you couldn't even get that detail. Either you couldn't be bothered, or you didn't have the money, or what. But
to me, it does not surprise me that Kevin Costner flounders once again as a leading man.
you know, really. I've always thought, I mean, I understand he's not the greatest actor in the world, but I've always thought he was at least enjoyable and pretty solid in everything he does.
Waterworld.
Well, okay, but yeah.
And the 12 baseball movies he's made.
The Postman, remember that one?
The Postman, yes.
God. Yeah.
By the way, The Postman. That's probably going to be a bad movie public defender one day.
Well, speaking of Captain America, have you guys seen it yet?
Yes, I have.
Is it worth it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay.
You know, it's amazing how good superhero movies are when you don't take essential characters to the mythology and then make them punchlines. So, you know, it's amazing how well that works out. So it's actually quite good, and I was actually happy to see that there were some leaks for the film beforehand, some potential plot spoilers.
Right.
That turned out not to pan out. So I don't know if they cut things from the film or if they did last second rewrites. But a few of the minor spoilers that had leaked didn't actually come to fruition. So that was nice.
Isn't there a neat little Pulp Fiction Easter egg for Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, it's right there. It's really if you're not looking for it, you'll miss it. I'm not too sure how concerned everyone is about spoilers, but. It's near the end of the movie, and it has to do with Samuel L. Jackson. So if you just keep that in mind when you're watching it, you should be able to spot it. But it is there, and it is awesome.
What's going on in St. Louis, Chicago? I see the officials gathered.
They were trying to see whether a puck got knocked over the glass or not.
Oh, I thought, okay, they're not reviewing a goal?
No.
Okay, good.
Well, this one's back in your wheelhouse, Greg, as a part owner of the Green Bay Packers. Have you heard about the new venture that your organization is starting, Greg?
No, I have not.
Well, Greg, you got to stay in the loop for these important decisions.
I get busy. I have
Greg,
hobbies.
you delegate, right? You delegate.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too bad that you're already taken, because the Green Bay Packers have set up a dating site specifically for Green Bay Packer fans.
Oh, Lord.
This is going to be fantastic.
GreenBayPackersLovers.com.
Oh, my God.
Not, it wasn't going to be cheeselovers.org?
No. But it's a dating site where if you're a Packer fan, you can sign up and you can meet other Packer fans in your area.
So basically it'll be 80,000 dudes and maybe 2 ugly fat women.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it.
That sounds about right.
Probably. That's probably true. Let's see. Oh. Let's move over to...
So much bratwurst.
Let's move over to our friends at Fox Sports 1.
Ooh.
Well, obviously, as we talked about, the playoffs started this week, and Chris Chelios is their NHL analyst, right?
Yeah.
Chris Chelios, really?
Well, the problem is Chris Chelios works in the Red Wings front office.
If
you remember at the beginning of the year who he picked to win the Stanley Cup?
Well, probably the Red Wings, right?
Well, he picked the Detroit Red Wings to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the year. So he comes back for the first round of the playoffs, and, well, who does he pick as his upset pick in the first round? The Detroit Red Wings.
I was going to say the Detroit Red Wings, maybe.
Right. So
why would
maybe Fox should hire someone that's not employed by an NHL team?
Yeah.
Also, Chris Chelios never struck me as the overly charismatic type who could carry a television program.
Right.
Well,
he looks terrible on TV.
Well,
yeah.
He looks awful. Like
He is
knows
not
what
a
he's talking
photogenic
about, but
man.
he doesn't look good.
He is not a photogenic man.
And I don't know, is it just me, but when I think of Chris Chelios, I think of the Blackhawks, not the Red Wings. I mean, not that that has anything to do with this, but...
I think of the Atlanta Thrashers.
I think of the Chicago Wolves. What are you talking about?
I think of the Atlanta Thrashers.
I think of him as a Red Wing.
In that alternate uniform that he managed to get.
Well,
I think he ended up playing more years in Detroit than he did in Chicago.
I was just going to ask you that because...
He won a Stanley Cup in Montreal.
Yeah.
Did he?
Well, and he won...
Yeah.
I think he won 2 or 3 with Detroit.
He got on my radar as a Blackhawk, so it's kind of like one of those things where he might have played there 3 years, but 10 in Detroit, but I still think of him as a Blackhawk type of deal. Mm. You know,
yeah.
Like Reggie Jackson's always going to be a Yankee in my mind, even though I saw him play with the A's and the Angels and then back with the A's again. But anyway.
Let's see. Also with Fox Sports, our good friend Joe Buck. We love Joe Buck.
Oh, yes.
Well, the reports are coming out, and as you may remember, Fox acquired the rights to the U.S. Open next year. So reports are that the lead analyst or the lead play-by-play for the U.S. Open golf tournament will be Joe Buck and Greg Norman.
You know what? Joe Buck is perfect for golf.
I was just going to say the same thing. Let's see, but he doesn't bother me as much as he bothers a lot of people. I mean, he's not the greatest. He's certainly no Vince Scully, but I can put up with him, with Joe Buck.
But I think when I think of golf announcing, think of Joe Buck versus Jim Nantz when it comes to golf.
Well, yeah.
It's not even a contest.
That's like the same comparison. It's like Joe Buck versus Vince Scully when it comes to baseball.
It's just like I think for golf you need to have like a kind of softer voice, whereas Joe Buck is a little bit more, I guess, great to his voice.
Yeah.
Not that he has a grating voice, but it's Joe Buck versus Jim
louder.
Nantz
Yeah, he's louder. He's
the Masters.
Yep.
I don't know. I given his complete lack of emotion, I think golf is the perfect place for him.
I'm at the point with this Chicago-St. Louis game where it was fun, but now it's like, when's this thing going to end?
Oh, no.
Andy Post, yay for multiple overtime hockey again.
Let's see. Where do we want to go next? Okay, I only have a few more things.
Okay.
Okay.
Good, because I'm getting hungry.
Okay. We'll go with baseball.
Okay.
The Houston Astros.
Okay.
They called up their number 1 prospect this week.
Springer?
Springer.
Yeah.
He goes into the major leagues. He's going to get his first he's in his first game of the major leagues. He's really excited to be there, and the Astros are excited to have him. So excited that they made a little mess up on the scoreboard.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh,
What's
no.
I'm looking for
Springer. Not George.
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 Aw.
So
he looks so happy in that photo, too.
His first game in the show, and look what happens to him.
he's so happy because he hasn't been with the Astros long enough to get that sadness drained out of him.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that picture montage that somebody had of Robert Andino from the
For the Orioles, yeah.
Orioles, where he was really happy when he got drafted, and then like 4 years, after the years go by, his smile gets smaller and smaller, and it just turns into a God.
Yeah,
damn
it was like, yeah, new team, new attitude. Hey, this is still pretty cool. Oh, we could probably turn things around. Ugh.
I can't take another day of this.
Let's see.
Let me look at I just want to see how the Astros have come out of the gate here. Oh, not so
Terribly.
good. 5-11. Yeah.
Let's see.
Worst record in the American League.
Somebody
Suck
made
it,
fun of
Houston.
Atlanta
You're
soccer-
not Toronto.
If not for the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, they'd have the worst record in baseball.
I feel because this is going to be the year that Andy was going to get into baseball. Oh.
Yeah, we all knew that wasn't going to last.
I guess I only have. Let's see. Kobe started his vacation early. He went to, but he's injured, so I don't. That's fine. Apparently, Blake Griffin is a young Earth creationist.
Really?
He thinks that Jesus and dinosaurs lived together.
Really?
And this is the star of the Clippers, huh? Bravo, Clippers.
No, he doesn't say exactly that. Somebody asked him in a question, or who was this with? Rolling Stone. Mm-hmm. He said, "I was raised in a Christian household and went to a Christian high school, so I believe in creationism for sure." So the interviewer asks Griffin if he really thinks the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Mm-hmm. To which Griffin responds, "I don't want to do the math, but yeah, somewhere around there."
Wow.
So,
wow.
That's not to say that he believes Jesus wrote dinosaurs, but
it would be awesome if Jesus wrote dinosaurs. I think.
Yeah, right.
That'd be cool.
Wasn't there a meme where there was some? Really
Jesus riding Velociraptor.
Yeah, Jesus riding a Velociraptor. Yeah. And you know what? That's got to be a glorious tournament and a victory entrance next year.
Jesus on a Velociraptor?
Jesus on a Velociraptor.
Somebody write that down. And you know what? I hope someone has written down salsa for next year.
And because there was a lot of – and we'll move to college sports real quick. Since there was so much backlash to the NCAA this year, the NCAA decided to put an olive branch out to the athletes to make peace.
Oh, okay.
The NCAA and its legislative council approved a rule change that will allow all Division I athletes – get ready for this – unlimited meals and snacks. No athlete will go hungry.
Well,
celebrate good times. Come on.
But it's 2014. Why did? Yeah. I read an article about that today, and I forget it was one of the maybe a player from the basketball tournament.
Yeah, UConn guard Shabazz Napier told reporters he had gone to bed hungry.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And we still haven't gotten to the Wisconsin and the Union, or Northwestern and the Union thing. We should definitely get into that at some point. But anyway,
did you see the tweet that U.S. Airways put out?
Yes.
No, I didn't. What's going on?
Was I the only person that thought, well, that explains what happened to the Air Malaysia flight?
Oh, is this the one where it's flying off into space?
No,
not exactly.
No, it's not safe for work, and it's quite graphic. So.
Okay, we'll just drop it in there.
And then tell me my Malaysia joke isn't awesome after this, Mike.
Okay.
He's looking.
Oh, okay.
To describe, there is a woman laying on her back with her legs spread and the nose of a 777 airplane inserted into her vagina.
Yes. Not to put too fine a point on it, but yes.
Yeah.
How did a corporate Twitter account get away with that?
I don't know, but thank God it did.
Supposedly, they found the person who had sent out the tweet, and they said it was an accident.
Sure.
He accidentally, uploaded the file and attached it to the tweet.
What it sounds like is the person. Let's see. It was an honest mistake in an attempt to. It was in an attempt to flag the tweet as inappropriate, said the spokesman. We captured it, flagged as inappropriate. He said, unfortunately, the image was inadvertently included. So they're saying it was just a mistake, which obviously it is. But
well, here's the thing. Okay, mistake, fine, and all that, but you still had to have the image to put it in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I know, you see it. When you attach an image like that, especially when it's a pic.twitter, as I just did one of Getzloff's face earlier today, you see the picture.
Well, not only that, but you have to know that the picture is in your photo folder or whatever you want to put it. Mm-hmm. But
I'm sure maybe they meant to put a different picture in there or something. I don't know.
I'm sure, but I saw that and I'm like, here come the Air Malaysia jokes. It's got to be, but
let's see. Is there anything else I have?
I have one more thing.
Oh, there's one more thing.
Okay, well, you do your one more thing first.
Mike is correct.
We got to come on.
No.
We got to do it.
No,
all right, never mind. It's a great inside joke, folks. If you want to know what it is, and
email basically a sports show at gmail.com.
Let's just say it has to deal with the photo and a certain poster that is a airline enthusiast.
Right. And if you want to find out the rest, email us and we will tell you. And if
it's really not that bad. I just don't feel like.
No, yeah, we don't want to get into the whole story, but it's pretty funny, and it's one of the board members. So if you want to find out, email us, and we'll tell you what it's all about. But okay, one more thing, Zach. Go ahead.
Okay, one more thing. And Greg, I know you're a bearded man, aren't you?
No,
I am.
I said Mike, didn't I?
No, you said Greg.
Oh well, Mike, you're a bearded man, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. The Telegraph over in Britain reports that researchers at the University of New South Wales studied how 1,453 bisexual or heterosexual women responded to 36 photos of men's faces. And after seeing several beardos, they were more impressed by the gentleman without.
Ah, well.
So basically you're saying that there was a huge swing in the beard trend, but never, the beard days of reigning.
I read something about this, yeah.
Yeah.
The beards are on the way out.
It's one of those things. When it comes right down to it, it's oppression, really. I mean, we're out there being who we are with all our beards, and for this type of closed-minded attitude to prevail, it's just sickening. So
okay.
But basically, the way that they also rationalize it, they said they also liked beards better after seeing more clean-shaven men. It's called negative frequency dependent sexual selection, which basically means whatever is different than, like, if you see the same things all the time, you see somebody that's a little different and you say, oh, well, I like that instead.
Right.
So basically so many people started growing beards and now people like men without beards. But now then once everyone goes back to being clean shaven, then somebody with a beard will be like, oh, he's mysterious. Let me go over to him.
So basically the lesson here is whatever you are, bearded or not, just keep that going, and chances are things are going to swing your way in like a year or two anyway.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's that. And
is that Zach's tabs for this week?
I think.
All right. I have a
couple little tiny things, but they're nothing.
Let me do my last thing here, and then we'll call it a night.
Okay.
Okay. As we've talked about a few weeks ago, I started watching the show How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
And I made this big and passionate defense of the finale and blah, 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 the whole bit.
You were wrong, yes.
I was absolutely wrong. Completely and totally so far off the mark, it wasn't funny. And I watched the finale again Monday, I think, and you guys are right. It sucked. It blew the whole show. So I just wanted
to... You've seen more of the show now, right?
Yes. And
so you go back now... Because you had only seen a little bit of it, but now that you have more context...
Yep.
It makes more sense.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep. I mean, because they go back on. Well, I mean, whatever. No spoilers. It doesn't matter. But they go back and forth on the Ted and Robin thing because they have to extend the show, and then they do it one more time. They do it one more time at the wedding, and then they finally say no, we're not doing this. So you say okay,
yeah,
fine. I guess. I mean, I was a little mad that they even suggested it again in the first place, but the fact that they finally put a definite nail in it saying, no, we're done, she's going to marry Barney. Mm-hmm. And then 15 minutes in the finale, well, they're divorced, and then, oh, by the way, now she's with Ted again.
The whole divorce thing, again, I think you mentioned it, Zach, it didn't bother me because they kind of seem like a divorceable couple.
Right.
Sure.
But... Yeah, I don't know.
You spent the entire season at their wedding weekend, and then 15 minutes in the finale, it's, oh, by the way, that whole season you just watched, don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, and they wrote off the whole thing, especially what was it, like 3 episodes before the finale, where Ted says, "Look, I just don't feel that way about like that anymore."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now it's years and years later, and it's like all along it's been, I just want to hook up with Robin.
Yeah,
Come on.
And it kind of does a disservice because it does a disservice to the whole thing for the mother, because it's like,
Yep.
So you're telling me that basically what he's doing is telling his children that he never was really in love with their mother.
Right. She filled the void until he could hook up with Robin.
Well, the worst part is the kids even realize that. They're like, you just want to get with Aunt Robin.
Yeah. It's like, well, okay, so Mom really didn't mean shit to anybody, but that's okay because you wanted to be with Robin all along anyway, so that's all right. But yeah, it was after I watched it a second time, and I'm much further into the show now. You guys were absolutely right. The finale was just. They should have just stopped it after they showed him meeting her when he said, "My name's Tracy," blah blah blah, and that Kids Is How I Met Your Mother. Fade to black, into the show. That's it.
Yep.
I never really got this point across when we first talked about it. My kind of last thoughts on this. A lot of people say they liked how the finale kind of was, mimicked real life because tragedy, occurs in real life and, whatever. And I understand that. But another part of real life is that your exclusive group of 3 or 4 friends that you have is never going to be your entire world.
No,
but it seemed like that's where they were going with it. Like, God forbid Ted end up with someone outside of their exclusive group of friends, because that's essentially what happened. He met someone, married, had kids, but then no, she died. God forbid anyone outside of that exclusive group of friends that the show was centered around,
right?
Enter their lives.
Well, and the mother that they introduced ended up being very likable. All the fans of the show really ended up liking her.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, oh yeah, well, she wasn't really going to be here long term anyway, and now she's dead. Like, okay, well, thanks for.
Well, and the worst part about the whole thing is that they shot the scenes with the kids back years and years ago. Mm-hmm. So this has been the plan all along.
Yeah.
And you would think at some point because it wasn't like it was etched in stone, they could have easily. Those kids, those reaction shots could have been to any dialogue you wanted to write. It didn't have to, and they could have left out the last part where it's all about you hooking up with Aunt Robin.
Right.
But
that's the thing that makes me mad is that since they knew this was the plan all along, and then to only go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth only because they knew they had to extend the show,
right?
That just makes it worse.
And I tell you,
you knew how you wanted to end it, and then so you didn't. They didn't put anything in the in between to try and mitigate that.
And I don't like the fact that basically Ted and Barney passed her back and forth for 9 years.
Right.
Because that's basically what happened.
It's like what you said, Greg, when we talked about this the first time. It's like, you don't, pass women around within your group of friends.
I mean, okay, it might happen where, not in a group of 5 people, I would hope anyway, but you might, in a group of people you run with, maybe one guy dated her first and you date her later, but you certainly don't go back again. I mean, that's just not nonsense, but it's too bad, too, because it's tough to come up with a good network sitcom these days that's actually enjoyable, and it was, but man, did they botch it. Just totally blew it. I was so off the mark, I can't believe it, but the deeper I get into the show, the worse it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So.
If nothing else, you'll still have Barney. Barney kind of keeps that show alive even during the darkest moments.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is that once they got to, the second season, Barney became the star of the show. It wasn't really about Ted. It was just about Ted's stories about Barney.
Yeah. Looks like we're going to go into a third overtime in Chicago.
We got a
St.
minute
Louis.
left in the second overtime there.
Yeah.
In Minnesota's up 4-3.
Really?
Minute 32.
Yeah.
Minnesota put up 4 goals, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, they can do that.
Colorado pulled the goal
Patrick
2 minutes ago.
Patrick Waugh is probably going to whip one of his players.
Well, that's okay. It's worked all season long.
Patrick actually looks relatively calm for the time being. But
he's just
there was
thinking
an
about his
empty net,
Stanley
and they
Cup
blew the
rings
whistle,
in his
and then one
ears.
of the Wild shot the puck at the empty net, and so now all the Avalanche got up in Matt Cook's face. And I think the Kings-Sharks game is 4-0 Sharks. 5-0 Sharks. Oh, my God.
Ooh.
I saw it 4-0 2 minutes ago, and they scored again?
Well, you were right about the Kings not being able to score goals.
Well, oh, my God, the Sharks just almost scored another one. Why is Jonathan Quick still in there?
Yeah.
But noted longtime Kings fan Lights Out has commented, and he thinks that the Kings are relying too much on Quick. And you know what, boy, he is sure living and dying with every period. So
I don't recall seeing a post of his in that thread for quite a while now.
And
I don't think throughout the entire season.
Overtime in St. Louis.
Oh, for God's sakes! Yeah, now I'm at the point where when is this thing going to end?
Oh, stop! It's the longest game in Blues history.
Hey, that's something.
Yeah.
Well, see, now they're still playing on my end, so there's still a chance they might score here before we get to the third OT.
I don't think so.
All right.
Greg's coming to us from the past. From a minute.
NBC is stupid.
past.
So on the CNBC game, they show it says they're showing all the games like what's next, what's coming up later tonight, and what games are on tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So they say what's coming up next. It says, well, Chicago St. Louis game is currently being aired on NBCSN. Well, the problem is that's where the King Sharks game was also supposed to be, and so it says currently being aired on NBCSN.
Well, this is the same outfit that when they put up that graphic, it had the old Blue Jackets logo, the old CB.
Well, that was on their website. Yeah.
No, it wasn't just the old Blue Jackets logo. They had old logos for everyone.
The old Sharks logo, Sharks, the Kings.
Yeah. It was like 1990. It was like they hadn't updated their file since 2007.
Yep.
Wow.
It was sad.
Aww.
I don't know if that was part of the regular website or just like some back corner that they didn't realize.
I know,
was
but
still there,
how do you? I mean, come on.
I know.
It's not
like 7 years after the fact. At least they weren't using the Mighty Ducks logo or something. They at least had the current Ducks logo.
You know what? It's not as bad as when Los Angeles media kept using the Sacramento Kings logo. For the
they used it one time. That's all they kept using.
All right, are we ready to wrap it up, guys?
Yes.
So.
Okay. Well, you know the whole routine. Follow us at Basically Sports. The website's basicallyasportshow.com. Email us if you want the inside joke on what we were talking about a little bit ago at basicallyasportshow.
The GTOV final.
And the GTOV final, which is the goddamn Batman versus Daniel Day-Lewis's acting ability. All that stuff will be posted later. And with that, we're going to call it a day. Go Blue Jackets.
Go Ducks. I get to ride a Zamboni tomorrow.
God, we forgot to talk about that.
Yeah, Zamboni.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, Zach's going to ride the Zamboni tomorrow. Next week, we'll hear all about it.
Yeah, live report from the Zamboni.
There you go. All right, we'll see you all next time.